A pair of Red Sox errors led to 3 unearned runs. Cleveland beat Boston 5-4 yesterday to take 3 out of 4 in that series. Rafael Devers missed the game after an MRI on his knee revealed a bone bruise. The Sox are hoping to avoid putting him on the injured list. The team did put Tyler O'Neill on the 7-day IL yesterday as he's dealing with concussion symptoms after colliding with Devers on Monday. Sox open a 3-game series in Pittsburgh tonight. Patriots director of scouting Elliott Wolf spoke to reporters yesterday, said the team is willing to trade the number 3 overall pick for the right deal, but also said he's been impressed by all 6 of the top quarterbacks in this year's draft. NHL released the entire schedule for the first round of the playoffs last night. We already knew Bruins and Toronto would open their series tomorrow night. Game 2 will be Monday at the Garden, then games 3 and 4 in Toronto Wednesday and next Saturday. NHL owners yesterday officially approved the Arizona Coyotes sale and move to Salt Lake City. Celtics will find out who they'll play in the first round of the playoffs tonight. Bulls visit Miami. The winner will take the 8th seed in the East. Heat will not have Jimmy Butler. He's got a sprained MCL, would likely keep him out for the first round as well. The other play-in game out west, New Orleans and Sacramento will play for the right to meet Oklahoma City in the first round. Headlines are brought to you by Dr. Matthew Lopresti and Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, the hair doctor of Hardy and Brian Scalabrini at 1-800-GET-HAIR. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. We got more headlines in 30 minutes.
Al Horford.
This is Al Horford.
Al Horford catching slam. Horford for 3.
You're listening to the home of Boston Celtics basketball, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Twitch feed of this is going to be used all around the internet.
Get up.
The cat is finally out of the bag.
Get up.
We're back. Toucher and Hardy.
Get up.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Fred, hello. 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 Mm-hmm. Hello. 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 Hello.
He's naked. He has a sword.
Let's talk about cheese.
Bruins are back from the West Coast.
What the
Is it okay to use this for the radio?
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
You sweet.
Hi there.
Hi, this is Donald Duck.
Welcome to Toucher and Hardy.
Hi, it's Donald Duck.
It's Friday without Fred Toucher and without John Wallach, but Ryan Johnston, who's been here all week, is back on Friday, and Michael Holley is here. Hi, Michael.
What's up, fellas?
Hi, it's Donald Duck.
Thank you. That tickles me.
We had
That tickles me so much.
we had the voice of Donald, Goofy, and Mickey record a bunch of stuff for us yesterday, and it was for Dan Roach, who was here, and his love of Disney. And it'd be one thing just to do Disney trivia, but to actually get the guy to record lines for us.
Hi, this is Donald Duck.
Was a special treat for Dan. So
Of course he loves Disney.
Yeah.
Of course Roachy loves Disney.
of course he does.
Was this breaking news to you?
No. But
You didn't know how deep it was.
I did. I absolutely had full knowledge of Dan Roach's love of Disney. What I wanted to do, though, was make it special for him. Just talk about Disney again. What are we going to do? Goof on Dan because he likes Disney? No. Let's incorporate it into the show. Let's make it a part of the show and bring him something special by having the actual voice of the Disney guy do all that stuff for us.
The
So
day
Is mountains of splashing good times.
you could. I mean, you could. It's like watching a movie.
the day when I lose faith in society is the day that Roachy goes dark
Yeah.
and Mike Reese. If Roachy and Mike Reese both go dark, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Okay, so
I lose faith in the world.
I love both those guys. I've seen a bit of it from Dan, mostly due to having played golf with him, and I've seen the dark side of Dan Roach.
Record it?
I did no.
This is
Ryan,
just confidential.
Did you see it, or did someone tell me it happened at the last Sports Hub golf tournament? Dan, did you tell me that?
It wasn't me. I never get to go to the Sports Hub golf tournament.
Oh,
Okay, we got issues already. We got a little protest here.
Mike says he went dark on the last golf tournament.
Okay, and so Mike, that was the one where he left after 9. Excuse me.
He did. Yes, he
walked off the course, and it may not
Throwing
even
golf clubs.
No, it probably wasn't even 9 hole because it's a shotgun start. He walked off of 9. You know, something to the effect of "F this. I'd rather be at Gillette Stadium and you know be doing nothing during training camp or OTAs or whatever was going on at the time."
F this. There's always Disney on Ice. Why am I here?
So I didn't want to tell it while Dan was here yesterday because he would push back on it, but this is true. He and I played in the media day for the U.S. Open a couple summers ago, and it was around this time of year, and we're in the same group, and it was not quite a U.S. Open setup. The rough hadn't grown in. We weren't playing the back tees. The greens weren't as fast, but it's still
Brookline Country Club.
It's Brookline.
It's
it's
pretty good course,
and it's not easy,
Yeah.
right? Dan was playing out of his mind for a stretch of 9 holes where he was actually even par for a stretch of 9 holes in the middle of the round. I think he had 1 bogey, 1 birdie, 7 pars, right? So I noticed this because again, a shotgun. It wasn't a typical start on number 1, finish on 18. And I'm looking back on the card. I'm like, Dan, for those holes 1 through 9, there you're even par. He's like, I know, Hardy, shut up. I said, no, dude, you've got a chance to post a number here today.
Now you got jinx. Now jinxing me.
Of course,
right?
and of course I'm doing it. I'm like, hey man, just shake it off. We're just out here to have fun, but this could be something you remember for the rest of your life as long as you don't. Shut up, Hardy. Shut up, Hardy. I'm like, I'm just here to support you, man. I want to do everything in my power to make sure this thing continues. And oh my God, look at you hitting driver here. Okay, just keep it in play. Just keep it in play. So by the end of the round, for those 2 9s, if you separated the two on those inward 9 collective consecutive holes, he was even par, 36. On the other 9 holes, 54. He shot an even 90. And he was pissed at me and pissed about the situation, but he's still Dan Roach.
I'm pissed at you for doing that. Why would you do that?
Because it's
Why
fun.
would you do that?
Because it's fun. So weeks later, my wife meets him for the first time, and she sees him at an event, and she walks up to him, and he's Mr. Dan Roach. He's like, hi, how you doing, Dan Roach? Hi, how you doing? Oh, nice to meet you, Dan Roach. A collection of blue hairs, no doubt, gathered around, to meet their messiah, Dan Roach. It's very big in the older demos. The older people, they love Dan. But my wife is there, too, and she walks up and she goes, I just wanted to introduce myself. My husband is Rob Poole, Hardy. And he turns away from the people, and he looks at my wife. He said, Hardy, he effed me. He effed me. He effed me on the golf course. That effing guy effed me. Hey. And then turns back around.
Hey, Dan Roach.
How you doing? Dan
How you
Roach.
doing?
Hey, nice to meet you. Thanks for watching. So I've seen the dark side of Dan. He's very funny. He's very charming when he does it. I've never seen it from Mike Reese. I've never seen the dark side of Mike Reese.
Doesn't exist. Has never happened. Has never happened. I've never seen it. It's legit though. See, like some people have a persona,
right?
A nice persona,
right?
But then we all know, especially in the media, you know people in the media, like, oh, this person is that, and we go, no, they're not really how they appear to be. But
there's no one you've ever worked with, of course.
Oh no. You think I have somebody in mind? What do you mean? No. But Reese is like that. Reese is like that for real. He's just like a nice dude. So you both of you are already thinking about people or hearing stuff.
Dan is up texting. I know who I want on my team. Ryan, you would never rip me the day after we worked together. I'm not ripping you.
That's right, Roachy. I love you, man.
I think it's one of the most.
Hardy's been bad-mouthing you since I walked in this morning.
And I started. My bad, Roach. I started it off.
I think it's
going.
I think it's one of the most endearing things about Roachy is that he is that genuinely positive and nice and thoughtful. But there's a switch, and it only gets flipped for a few seconds at a time.
And you know how to get there.
I do. Well, now I do.
All right.
I didn't know before.
That's because he has pushed all of that negative energy so far deep. It every once in a while just a little bit bubbles up to the surface, but push it back down.
I was texting with Dan yesterday after the show. I do love having him here. We had a great couple of days. We're going to have a great day today with Michael Holley.
Hey.
Michael Holley, one of these like Dan Roach, like Mike Reese, one of these universally loved guys, here in town and across the nation, but with that saltiness too. I don't know how you pull it off, Michael. I don't know how you're able to, be as warmly embraced as you are, and still, you can be a prick when you need to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I think
tough.
most of the time, I think I have it pretty often. I think the prick comes out a lot.
Excuse me?
Yeah, rephrase. What time is it? It's 6:11. Okay, let me say that again. Sometimes I'm a jerk. Yes, I'll say it that.
Bert Breer is going to join us.
Simply.
Yeah, Bert's going to be here for the 7 o'clock hour, so I don't know what you guys want to do. We can all go have breakfast or something. Let's let Bert, get into
Just let him
draft. Let him cook.
Don't you love it?
I do. Cedric Maxwell at 9 o'clock this morning with a little playoff preview. So a lot happening on the show here today. Have you gotten yourself into a position where you're ready for the playoffs to begin, Michael? I know they sneak up on you, and there's hardly any downtime between the end of the regular season and the start of the playoffs. And it hasn't felt like the regular season ended a month ago for both these teams. So, woof. How do you turn on a dime like this and get ready?
I'm ready for it, but why was I surprised last night? Now, this is we don't do a lot of prompter stuff on Boston Sports Tonight, but I'm reading the prompter on this. I had read this promo and we get you ready for the playoffs this weekend. I said, okay, that's somebody put that in. That's wrong. The playoffs don't start this weekend for both teams. I've been thinking about the playoffs for about a month and a half, but it seems weird that the playoffs start this weekend for the Bruins and Celtics. Say finally.
Finally.
Yeah, it just seems fast for the Celtics. I thought the Celtics thing was wrong. I was like, there's no way. It starts on Sunday?
Apparently.
And you don't even know the opponent?
No.
Does it matter? Does it matter to you? I mean, now with Jimmy,
not with the
Celtics, Jimmy Butler hurt in Miami.
Not with Jimmy Butler hurt.
So either you get a really damaged Heat team or you get a
the
sub
Bulls.
500 Bulls team.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Not exactly getting those juices flowing right away.
And Ryan's got it in the updates already, and you'll have it throughout. But Jimmy Butler, it was an MCL, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
MCL
okay.
out for what? Maybe a month or 3 weeks.
They're not
to a
even
month.
saying, but it's several weeks at least. So he's not going to be around for the first round if they make it.
And I always fall for it. Teams lie at this time of year, so they say several weeks because they're still involved. But as soon as if they lose this game tonight to the Bulls, which I think they will, they lose to the Bulls, then they could probably tell you the truth that, there's no chance. He has no chance of coming back. But anytime a team is kind of hanging around, they'll just string you along and make you think the guy can come back. And then for the Bruins, we've been talking about, after last year, whatever they do in the regular season, is this sustainable? Will they be able to do anything when it comes to the postseason? And I don't know how you guys feel about it. We still may not have that question answered after they play the Maple Leafs. I don't know if you think they're going to beat the Maple Leafs, but how could you not? How could you not think really? And with all respect to the Maple Leafs, how could you not?
Well, I hate doing it based on history, and it's something we were able to do with the Patriots for a long time. Not anymore. That finally ended, right? Where you just can't chalk up automatic wins against.
I can see if that history was from 30 years ago or 20 years ago. But it's more recent than that.
Well, yes, exactly. And with the Bruins and the Maple Leafs specifically, I do pretty much count them as winning this series. And will that be enough for the Bruins? We're going to get into all that stuff. You mentioned Felger, though. How is Felger? I literally have not seen or spoken to him since I started mornings. I haven't seen him.
You have not seen Felger?
I have not seen Michael Felger since.
And how's that working out for you?
Well,
How you doing with that?
I like Mike.
Is it good?
No, it's fine.
It's good?
I'm not sad about it, as I'm sure he's not sad that he hasn't seen me. But Maz I've seen, and spoken to, and I see the midday guys every day. I see James Stewart.
Big game, James.
Yeah, because he's
My
in
guy.
early every day. He's in, like before I leave, I would say a couple days a week at least. He's here like late morning getting ready for the show. But how is Felger okay? Is he all right?
He's doing well. I'll next time I come here, I'll bring him in. I'll bring him in so you can talk to him.
Bring him in for the morning
Yeah, bring
show.
him in, a little morning shift,
Okay.
and then you guys can catch up a little bit.
He might be the one guy in staff I literally have not seen since I started mornings. Everyone else, like Joe Murray, of course, he's comes in and fills in here. So I see Joe. Anyone else I've seen, not Felger. All right.
But see, now that you're doing mornings, you don't even like. If we invite you on the show, you're not going to accept that invitation. You wouldn't come on at night. You wouldn't come on Boston Sports Tonight.
Oh, I wasn't getting that invite anyway. But
what do you mean you're not getting that invite? That's
you know what I
happening.
get? You know what I get the call from Brian, like the day before Christmas Eve or day of, especially when it's like on a Friday. Hey, can you do early edition tonight?
Why are you calling me now? Where were you? Where were you in October?
I've been like so far down the list of contributors. It's like, oh God, who could we?
Not in my mind.
Ask Hardy.
Not in my mind.
Ask Hardy. Yeah, and chances are he'll do it. He's desperate enough. But no, I've never been asked to come on BST with you and Felger. You get how many contributors do you do in a show? Because what do you need besides the two of you? That's a show.
Yeah,
you and Felger, that's a show.
Yapping all the time.
Yeah.
No. You haven't been on the show.
No.
Is that right?
No.
Got it. RJ, we got to change this.
No, you had it
change
right the
this.
first time. I'm not going.
I know, but
I'm not going.
But this is a great thing. Now that I know he won't accept it,
Right. Invite him every week. He won't show
invite him.
up.
Hey, Hardy. Hey, Michael Holley asked about you. Can you come on? No, I can't do it today. But
Just
every
as a
week-
goof, offer me like a regular spot at a decent sum of money, knowing that I won't accept. It's like, hey, we think you could really bring the heat with a golf segment every Friday.
You got more.
Just come on,
You got
do
more
that.
range than that. You got more range than that.
Well, let's find out what happened last night with Ryan Johnston. As I said, Bert Breer is going to join us at 7 o'clock. We got Max coming on at 9 this morning. Lots to get to here this morning on Toucher and Hardy, which is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. I don't have it here in front of me. I almost got it, Dan. I almost did it anyway. I almost did the thing, but I
Stay
didn't.
tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Better paid players than the Red Sox put out on the field yesterday.
Okay, two things.
They charged full price for the admissions of these games, right?
How much did they charge for this?
They need to do surge pricing. Two things. Number one, let's not gloss over the positive. It was a 2-hour and 39-minute game. Now, that's not like the
That's 50 minutes longer than the night before.
The night before is a masterpiece.
Right.
Okay, that's what you're looking for.
Tanner Houck spun a gem, and both teams did what they had to do to get everybody out and home.
How about everybody in the crowd? Everybody is happy.
Everyone,
under 2 hours?
Yes, but 239, nothing to sneeze at. And sixth inning rally. What, they scored 3 in the 6th to make it 5-4. They
ended
made
up
it a game
5-4. But here's Alex Cora talking about the defense.
We don't do routine plays we don't make, and then we don't turn a little play, and just got to keep going. They're good defenders. They are. It's just we're not making plays right now.
What is your level of apathy with the Red Sox right now, Michael?
I'm not there. No, I'm not apathetic. Still too early. Not in April.
Okay.
I'm not apathetic when when RJ
apathy have a level, I guess. I mean, you're either apathetic or you're not. But
when RJ played that,
can't
clip
be a little bit pregnant. You can't be a little bit apathetic.
That's a life lesson. You can't be a little bit pregnant. That doesn't exist. RJ played that clip of Alex Cora saying they're good defenders. I spun my head around. What? So if I didn't care, that wouldn't get my attention.
Is there any evidence of that?
Are they good defenders?
No.
Error yesterday, RJ? Any errors? Error-free
that
game?
would be 2.
Okay,
yeah.
2.
I do believe they lead the league in errors.
They had they were 3-7 on a homestand?
Yes.
How many errors on a homestand?
Tom Caron told us this yesterday. 3 games in that homestand they did not make errors in.
Okay.
And they won all 3. So, every game they made an error in, they lost.
All right.
They ended up 3-7 on a 10-game homestand.
So at least 7 errors.
It was
but probably more.
Multiples there were 2 of them yesterday. There were multiples through most of that homestand.
And you see it if you watch any of these games, and there are errors and there are errors, of course. So the unearned runs, the errors, the really untimely ones, when you have a chance to stop a rally from the other team, or if you have a chance to stop the bleeding even, and they're happening at the worst possible times, but they're also happening on, not defensive gaffes as much as just like fundamentally bad baseball. Things that Alex Cora, and I heard Maz saying this the other night on the baseball hour. He's like, you want to blame Cora, you want to blame, something other than just the obvious, he sucks at doing that. Well, isn't that a manager's job? Or, someone on the coaching staff, their job, make sure. He said, no one is coaching these guys to drop routine fly balls. This is not a coaching issue.
Nor is a major league manager going to be out there during batting practice showing guys how to catch a fly ball.
Or even managing
or field a ground ball.
Or even managing their staff of coaches in order to make sure that doesn't happen. There's some things you have to take for granted at this level. but you can't with the Red Sox right now.
But see, the
defense is good.
But the problem with that, though, is they don't have anybody you can really get mad at. Like, you're mad that the team cannot catch the baseball. But it's not like you get mad at, this is all on Core. You don't even have Chaim Bloom. You can't get mad at Chaim Bloom anymore. Who's the villain? Who's the John Henry? He's never around.
Ownership. It is. It's ownership.
But he's smart enough never to be seen. Right. So you can't even you're mad at the memory of John Henry. He's not around.
Yeah. And I also think for player purposes, you could get mad at Rafael Devers, but then you're getting mad at the one guy on the team you could pick out of a lineup. You're getting mad at the closest thing they have to being the face of the baseball team right now. And there's just something inherently as a fan, or even as someone who is not apathetic about the team yet. Like, well, I don't want to hate on Devers. He's the one guy I know and like and can actually play sometimes.
Well, yeah, but sometimes, because he hasn't been on the field a whole lot to this point, because he keeps getting banged up. Which, let's talk about that for a second, because it's been a banner week for the Red Sox medical team so far. There's the collision on Monday with O'Neill and Devers. O'Neill hasn't played since. They said originally no concussion. He'll probably be back on Thursday. By Thursday, they put him on the IL because he's having concussion symptoms. That happens. It's, difficult thing to read with the head. But Devers tweaks his knee the other night. They say he's going to get an MRI the next day. Then they come back on Wednesday. Now he's doing all right. We're going to skip the MRI. We're going to let him DH tonight. He can't put full weight on his leg. The knee is clearly still bothering him, so he DHs anyway. They put him out there Wednesday night, and then they come back to an MRI yesterday, and hey, what do you know? He's got a bone bruise in his knee. He's going to need a little bit of time off. We're hoping not to put him on the IL. What are we doing with this guy? He had the shoulder thing last week where he couldn't play, and they didn't want to put him on the IL then. It's like, maybe give this guy a couple of weeks to get healed up and come back, and rather than having him limping around and having trouble throwing the baseball.
Yeah.
Well, I think you mentioned how much the players make. You didn't mention that it's the lowest paid medical and training staff in Major League Baseball too. Maybe they don't make that much money, and they're just guessing too. It's just a mess already. It seems like after their 7-3 start, it seems like we're going to the same place. We know exactly where this is headed.
Well, you had to know that was smoke and mirrors.
Got some Oakland A's in there.
Yeah, it's like you're going out west, you're playing these terrible teams. Like, you come back feeling good, but realistically, you had to know.
No. So the Red Sox are now at 500. They're going out on a 6-game road trip starting today when they visit Pittsburgh. So no level of apathy yet.
Not yet.
But this is how it happens. 500 baseball, and you're lucky to be at 500 based on, what this team is and how they played so far. That Oakland A's series at the start of the season certainly helped you pick up a few wins there. And if you are not so bad that people are angry about it, but you're nowhere near good enough for people to be interested or excited about it, that's when the apathy sets in.
They had a window. They had a little window here.
Window closes Saturday night.
I was going to say they had a window where, end of the regular season for the Celtics. Oh, yeah, best record in the East, best record in basketball. Okay. We know we're fine with the Celtics. Wait till the playoffs. Bruins, wait till the playoffs. Oh, they're playing Toronto? Okay, wait till the playoffs on them. And then NFL draft hasn't happened yet. Playoffs haven't started. There's your window to get people's attention.
Yes.
Yes. Then there it is. You're going to have a long playoff run, I think, for one of these teams. For one of these teams, you're going to have a long playoff run. For the Bruins, we don't know.
Well, you just gave it away. You didn't say which team was going to have the long playoff run, and then you said the Bruins. You didn't know.
Are we going to a break? That would have been a tease. I would say, no, for one of these teams, we'll talk about which one.
But then you gave it away.
No, but we know. Everybody knows. I'm not going to insult the people at 6:30.
It's so funny, though, that the Bruins have been guilty of this, too. When they've had the spotlight, like post-Super Bowl, before anything else begins, before spring training begins, Bruins did this, I don't know, I want to say something ridiculous, like 3 out of 4 years where they had the marquee game, and it was like a big tilt. They were either taking on Pittsburgh or Montreal or something that everybody focused in on. It's like, you know what? We're sorry, Bruins. But, the Patriots, they were just in another Super Bowl, or they had a long run, or we were just watching a Super Bowl. But now we're paying attention. What do you got? Oh, you get shut out 5-0 at home. When, the first time anybody's really paid attention to only you all season long. It took a few months. We're sorry about that, but now you've got our attention. What do you got for us? Nothing. Oh, nothing. Nothing in that game.
Either that or the league totally screws you and goes, oh, they're playing Edmonton tonight. It's going to be on ESPN+.
Yes.
You're going to have to subscribe to it and stream it.
But
Good luck.
It's so true. I mean, I don't know how much the players think about that stuff, but they do from an ownership and TV and advertising and sponsor standpoint. It's like, hey, we got this small amount of time here before things ramp up for the Celtics and Bruins, and we got this homestand, and let's take advantage of this. Let's show everybody that we're going to be a team this year that's worthy of your attention.
I think they think about it.
The players do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they listen to this stuff. They listen to you guys.
Thank you.
I'm not just 6 to 10, but I'm saying, I think they're paying attention to sports talk radio. They're paying attention to what people are talking about on TV. They're into it.
Yeah.
So when it's a big game, players and coaches understand what it is. It's not like they're just existing in a vacuum. They know what's at stake.
All right. We'll find out what else happened last night. In addition to Ryan Johnston's Hub headlines here as we continue with Toucher and Hardy, Michael Holley in on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines.
Sox lose 3 out of 4 to the Cleveland Guardians, including a 5-4 loss yesterday. Rafael Devers missing that game. MRI on his knee revealed a bone bruise. We'll see what his status is going forward. But the Sox say they are hopeful of avoiding putting him on the injured list. The team did put Tyler O'Neill on the 7-day IL. Concussion symptoms after he collided with Devers on Monday. 3-game series in Pittsburgh starts tonight. Brian Bayo will get the start in Game 1. Patriots Director of Scouting Elliott Wolf yesterday said the team is willing to trade the number 3 overall pick if it's the right deal, but also talked a lot about drafting a quarterback. He said he's been impressed by all 6 of the top quarterbacks in this year's draft. NHL released the schedule for the first round of the playoffs last night. We knew Bruins and Maple Leafs start tomorrow night. Game 2 will be Monday. Games 3 and 4 in Toronto will be Wednesday and next Saturday. NHL owners officially approved the Arizona Coyotes sale and relocation to Salt Lake City yesterday. The NBA's play-in tournament finishes tonight. Bulls take on Miami. The winner will get the 8th seed and a matchup with the Celtics in the first round. No Jimmy Butler for the Heat. He's got a sprained MCL. Out west, New Orleans and Sacramento will play for the right to take on Oklahoma City. Headlines are brought to you by the Wilbur Theater. See comedian Anthony Jeselnik live at the Wilbur April 24th and at the Chevalier Theater on April 25th. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. More headlines at 7 o'clock.
Hold everything 98.5 The Sports Hub has to offer in the palm of your hand.
I need that.
Listen live. Get breaking news.
I need it.
Download the Sports Hub app.
This is how Boston sports fans start their day. Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Steve Belichick has put his house on the market because, of course, he doesn't live here anymore. He's got a new
Belichick.
gig. Yeah, he's the one who went to Washington.
The Belichick who has a job.
Yes.
Well, now they both have jobs now. But anyway, go ahead.
Bill hasn't officially announced this. He's writing his book.
The Belichick who is not the media guy.
So Steve Belichick has listed his home in Dover, which is an 8,200 square foot farmhouse that's been totally customized, expanded on 2 acres of land, $4.2 million.
Okay. So the first thing Holly says,
6 beds, 5 full bathrooms, 3 half baths.
and the first thing Holly says is like, 8,200 square feet, $4 million? I bet it's not that nice.
I mean, that's huge.
It's a really nice. I gotta say, flipping through the photos, this looks like a really, really nice place. It's not like gaudy, like a lot of those kind of giant places. They don't look very livable. This looks extremely livable.
If you had 8,200 square feet in Weston, Wellesley, the W's, the affluent W's, right? 8,200 square feet and 2 acres. That place would be about $12 million, wouldn't it? It'd be about $10 million.
Okay, hold on. I'm doing the price per square foot.
$520-ish.
$512 a square foot. It's not bad, Michael.
No. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that's a huge place for a very affordable $4.2 million.
Okay. So it is as Ryan said, 6 bed.
It's outside of 128. So,
okay.
You got to take some money off of that.
Yeah, exactly. You got to travel a little bit.
Okay, so Dover Sherborne. That is a nice area.
See, see how parents think? That's what I said. When you were out of the room.
One of the first things Holly says when you weren't here, he's like, that school district there is pretty good.
Nice school district.
Good school district. Okay.
You better like horses. A lot of people got horses over in that area. That's why the lots are so big, I think, because chances are you're going to keep a couple of horses there on the property.
Is there a draw because it's Steve Belichick? And like, hey, does a realtor say, you know who lived here? We've got a lot of celebrities in the area. This house belonged to.
It's not like
Steve Belichick, which means
it's Belichick's house.
Which means that Bill Belichick.
You know who's had dinner here.
Yeah, exactly. Bill Belichick's been here.
There's a plaque like George Washington slept here. It's like
That's
in
right.
the guest room. There's a Bill Belichick slept here.
That game plan for that the Rams Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The last one. Yeah, when they gave up 3 points. Yeah, Bill Belichick was right there with Steve. They conceived this game plan here.
Even Brady tried that with his house in Brookline, like on the golf course there at the country club. And I think they, gave it a premium price tag because it was Brady and Giselle's house. How long did that thing sit? And I think the price dropped significantly before it sold.
Well, there is a limited market for like a $30 million home.
And do you? I mean, would that?
True.
Okay.
There aren't. There's a handful of people who are in the market for a house who are looking to spend $30 million.
I don't think they did an open house for that one.
No, probably not.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, come on in.
Could you sign? Could you sign there for me, please?
Who are you working with?
Yes.
But if it's affordable. Even if it's affordable, bring it back to down to where the normal people are. Is that a draw that someone lived here? Would you buy a house because somebody used to live there? They're not coming back.
Like the John Voight car.
It's the John Voight car, right?
Is that interesting to you? Like who used to live in your house?
No, I think it's interesting enough to get you to go look at it, and then it's something that quickly, almost immediately fades. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't last. That's the thing with a house. Hopefully, if you're not going to stay there for the rest of your life, you want there to be, an increase in value over time. Whatever added value there might be to you or in the actual price tag of having someone been there before is gone after you live there. Especially if it's Steve Belichick. I mean,
I don't know if you can get him to leave a little bit of his memorabilia behind, which is thankfully still on the walls in these photographs. So he's got a couple of Rutgers jerseys framed. He's got an Ohio State lacrosse jersey framed.
Okay.
He's got some There's looks like a few Patriots photos and a lot of footballs, like memorabilia looking footballs.
All right, now you can.
Wouldn't be difficult to figure out if you were just going on a tour. Wouldn't be difficult to figure out who's living here.
You can take all that stuff. 6-bed, 8-bath, 5 full, 3 half. It was a spec house when the Belichicks went under contract for the mansion. Spent 2 years customizing and expanding. It's got a metal roof, East Coast Metal Roofing. Designer lighting, hardwood floors. I would hope so. Specialty tiles and backsplashes, primary and bedroom closets, cabinetry, the kitchen, butler's pantry, mudroom pantry. This is all the basic stuff in a new house these days.
You think that's basic?
What, a mudroom?
Butler's pantry?
That's just a little separate area off the. I mean, I don't have one. I don't have one, but in a larger house, yeah, I think you have a separate pantry like connected to the kitchen.
Yeah, but it's not just a pantry. There's like running. There's a sink in there with running water, and there's a whole.
You're too easily impressed.
You are tough to impress. You've been hanging out with too many well-to-do people. Huh?
Yeah, that's true. I do run in very high end
Well, now that he's upgraded to the morning show, this is the kind of circles he runs in.
Well, this is the type of house I'm in the market for now.
This is where it comes
$4
out.
million. I mean, this is it.
This is where it comes out.
Dover's not that far from here. You pretty easy commute at 4:35 in the morning.
Yeah, that's the only. And I'm sure it was very easy to Gillette Stadium. There's nothing else easy about that. Once you're in Dover, you're in one of those, and there's a couple of really nice towns out that way. There's one way in and one way out if you're coming toward the city.
He probably had a police escort in.
Something. It's my friend Megan Johnson writing about this on Boston.com that I'm reading. Okay. On the first floor, a grand foyer welcomes guests. To the right, a 200-square-foot office, 181-square-foot dining room, which you'll never set foot in. The living area, the sunroom, eat-in kitchen with a Long Island and bar. Okay, here's the thing with the kitchen island, and I'm a stickler for this.
All right, let's hear it.
Seating on both sides of the island. We've looked at a lot of these, as we used to call them on the midday show, homeless things instead of homeless things, because it sounds like you're saying homeless thing. A lot of these islands seating on one side. And let me tell you, that island next to useless unless you're sitting there by yourself. No. You got to have seating on both sides of the island.
So if you have seating...
If you're spending $4 million, and we looked at really nice houses, look at this beautiful center island in the kitchen with seating on one side of it. Because, that's how you like to sit down and eat in a row. Like you're at a lunch table.
It's like sitting at a diner counter.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not.
This has seating on like 2 of the 4 sides. So there's like a corner where there's seating facing in 2 directions.
Good.
All right, but the flip side of that is, all right, if you're going to have seating on both sides, why do you need a dining room? Because the island, to sit down, the one side seating is, the suggestion is, hey, what's this coming to grab? I'm going to grab something quick.
No, what it's really there for is while I am cooking, that's where the guests can kind of
just
hang out. And
hang out.
You guys, that way, I'm doing my thing on this side. You guys are just kind of chilling on the other side.
You're not really there for a table setup party. You can't have it on both sides.
Okay, the dining room is not going to be used. You're going to go in there 2 times a year, or you're going to put a ping pong table in there. So you can forget about whatever draw the dining room is. Let me tell you something.
Table in there. It's a $4 million home. You're not putting a ping pong table in the dining room.
A nice one.
You have a 1,200 square foot playroom downstairs. You don't need a ping pong table in the dining room.
Let me tell you something else about these homes, and you see them all the time now. And it's great. And it's awesome when there's 1 or 2 people in the house. But this the open floor plan, open spaces, right? And the kitchen, and you see everything in there. I'm looking at the photo right now.
It's a great room.
It's a great room.
Yeah.
Okay, and you've got the big kitchen island. You've got your, all your kitchen stuff. You've got your appliances and your blenders and all your crap there on the counter. And then you just flows. It's one big open room with the sectional and the couch and the TV over on one end. All it takes is one person putting ice in a glass when you're trying to watch something, even if it's 15 feet away, and it's like, hey, love you, honey. Could you shut up? Seriously. And my wife
didn't even think of it.
Was this self-diagnosed misophonia. This is her thing. Any noise bothers her, like the sound of immediate family members breathing, or eating chips or putting ice in a glass. The look on her face when me or my daughter or son go in there and put ice in a glass when she is, again, in this like open floor space, and this is a fraction of the size of what the Belichicks are dealing with here, but you hear everything. And these there was a real estate agent told me about this. They're like, people are starting to figure that out. You're going to see things get partitioned off again in homes that are being built here real soon, because turns out this open space is awesome if you're pretending you're in an 80s movie and you're living in a loft space.
Exactly, but for real life, it is impractical. Now
you gotta have some personal space.
Which brings me to this. Okay, you're a real family. Okay, you got family issues. Things happen. Okay, she's being annoying. Okay, he's being too loud. All this stuff. How often do you think that Steve Belichick actually spent time in this house? How many coaches have no lives?
It's like 19 hours a day in the office.
Who cooked in the kitchen? I bet you, even if he had a chef, he was never around to eat what the chef prepared in this high-end kitchen. They're never there. I mean, it's just like it's like being in a museum. You spend 2 years designing this house and you're never around.
Right. Well, I tell you what, they did a beautiful job. It is beautifully staged. And I will give them points for that. But this is one of my favorite exercises, to really investigate things that I will never be able to have and then convince myself why I don't want it anyway. So
that's good. I like that. That's good. That's a good way to protect yourself.
Look at this. I would never buy this house for $4.2 million. It's an open floor plan. Who does that?
Look at me. Yeah.
Right.
2 acres.
Can you believe they made a big deal out of a mudroom?
8,200 square feet.
That mudroom's nicer than my house.
Who needs that much space?
Not me. Oh,
that's a good way to protect your self-esteem at all times.
I would never be able to fill this giant closet full of stuff.
Can you imagine the light bill in this house? Oh,
that's right. How many bathrooms? You don't need that many bathrooms.
The built-ins too. It's like they're nice sometimes, but then what do you have when you have built-in? You throw crap in them. You load them up with more crap that you're never going to use. Wouldn't you rather have the space? Get rid of some of your crap and use the space for other things, like a ping pong table.
A nice one.
I wish we could have a ping pong table in here, but we have these giant built-ins. Oh, what's in the built-ins? Crap that we never look at. The Twister game, the Monopoly game, blankets.
He's a Twister. The funny.
Well, you got to keep it new.
Keep that,
Michael. You got to keep it fresh.
Classic.
You got to keep.
You said it was
spicy.
a nice one. A nice one. A nice ping pong table.
Yeah.
As if.
What?
They're just like apathy. There are different levels to ping pong tables.
Hell yeah!
Really?
I bought one over Christmas. Now let me tell you something though.
You bought one for yourself?
Yeah, just for me. Yeah.
I bought myself a Christmas present. It was a ping pong table.
The ping pong table is a hit with everyone except for Mommy, who does not care. But the three of us were playing all the time, and it kind of looks like furniture. The really expensive, nice ones are competition ping pong tables. They've got like 12 legs on them, so you can make sure they're perfectly level and stable and everything else. This one costs less than half of that, and it looks like furniture. It's beautiful. That's what you put in your dining room of your 8,000 square foot house in Dover.
And that, RJ, is what you do when you are named co-host on the morning show.
Absolutely.
That is what happens.
There's no way I would have been able to. There's no way I would have been able to spend $600 on the Dick's half-off sale on that ping pong table in December had I not known I was getting the morning show gig.
See, there it is.
You don't throw that kind of money around unless you know you're going to be set up with a cushy new gig.
Good point, Dan. Dan says,
which, by the way,
breaking news.
Oh,
breaking news. He says he knew he was getting gig. You just let that out.
In December.
In December, he knew it was an inside job. He said, "You said when I knew I was going to get this gig."
Yeah, it was announced in December.
Was it?
Yes, we started.
We started the first week of
January 4th.
Oh, okay.
Announced it before Christmas.
Was it? When was it announced?
In December.
When in December?
The day before I got the ping pong table. So I'll go back and check my
to Dick's.
You know how when David Pasternak signed his big deal, he went out and got some chicken teriyaki? Like, that's what Hardy did. He signed the new deal, and he's like, I got to go buy a ping pong table
I'm
right
getting
now.
my ping pong table. I deserve this.
Well, good luck to all who go to one of the showings at the Belichick house for the weekend. When's the open house?
Yeah, let us know.
Only $28,000 in property taxes a year.
So, see? That's no problem.
By appointment only. Appointment only, right?
I would guess. All right. Bert Breer is going to join us next here on Toucher and Hardy. Michael Holley is in. Toucher and Hardy brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel.
More Toucher and Hardy on the way on the Sports Hub.
Winner gets the 8th seed in the East. No Jimmy Butler for the Heat. He's got a sprained MCL, would likely miss the entire first round. In the other play-in game, New Orleans and Sacramento will play for the right to take on Oklahoma City. Headlines are brought to you by 128 Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric, the company that finishes every job strong. If your home or business has a plumbing, HVAC, electrical, or drain issue that can't wait, you need to call 128 now at 888-CALL-128. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. More headlines in 30 minutes.
If you've got the app, you've got Spirited Sports Talk.
I have one ear and I got that.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
We're back with Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
That would
It's
be
an honor to sit in this seat.
Nice clean microphone, too. After Kendra finally wiped that thing down yesterday and took about 4 years worth of gunk off of it.
Was she like offended by?
She was dry heaving.
She was dry heaving.
Really?
Yeah, it was impressive. Yeah, Bert BREER is the senior NFL reporter and lead content strategist for the MMQB. Bert is brought
What
to
a
you.
title.
I know, it sounds so impressive. It sounds almost like military. Brought to you by Bentley University, a force for business, a force for good. Bert joins us live in studio this morning. How you doing?
Good morning, guys.
Well, good to see you.
Well,
good to see you.
About a week out from having a new quarterback here, I think, right?
Yes.
I mean, depending on how much you want to, believe what Elliot Wolf said, although he kind of said both. So,
Yeah.
we'll get into that. But that is the expectation. That is almost the certainty that the Patriots are, in fact, taking a quarterback at 6 days from now.
Yeah, I'd say it's the likelihood.
Likelihood at 3.
At 3.
At number 3.
I think it's more likely they trade out than the Commanders, but that doesn't mean there's a big likelihood. Like, I think the Commanders are almost certainly going to stick at 2. I think the likelihood is the Patriots stick at 3. They have prepared themselves for the possibility that they trade down. I think they have a hard time. Why they would have a hard time doing it is if you trade down, you lose the certainty that you're going to get the quarterback you want. And I do think ownership wants a quarterback here. And you have a new head coach. You have a de facto GM who doesn't have a whole lot of certainty on what his role is going to be 3 weeks from now, and the possibility that, in a week and a half, we're talking about the Patriots rolling personnel guys through here to interview them and kind of restructure their front office a little bit for the new era. Now, I still think Elliot Wolf's going to be the guy.
I was going to say,
but there's not.
It's weird.
There's not certainty there, though. Like, he hasn't been given certainty. Like, I talked to friends of his at the owners' meetings. This was like a month ago now. And they were like, there's a little bit of like, what are they doing up there? Like, why don't they just give him the title? Why didn't they just go through the process? And their whole thing, and this is, people who are competing against the Patriots, was you have $70 million in cap space to spend. You have the 3rd overall pick. It's a weird offseason to be saying like, oh yeah, we're just going to punt the GM search till after the draft, and not give the guy who's in charge the hammer and say, yes, this is your operation going forward. But, as we've discussed a lot, that's just the way the Crafts have chosen to do this.
You said ownership wants a quarterback. Okay, I understand that, but why doesn't football operations, or I don't want to assume
they do.
don't.
No, I think they do. I think they do.
Because
I'm not saying there's
he said yesterday, Elliot Wolf said yesterday when he was asked the question, hey, do you pretty much have to go quarterback? And he said, no. Now, I understand it's the draft. You don't tell everybody what you're doing, but
yeah,
come on, dude. Like, who are you fooling? You're not fooling other teams. Other teams know you need a quarterback. The fans know you need a quarterback.
Right. And I think part of it though is when you're up there in that position, if you're a general manager this time of year, we've talked a lot over the years about how Bill Belichick talks through the media to his locker room, right? I think for a GM in that position this time of year, you're talking through the media to other teams. And it behooves all of these teams that are drafting in that area to at least create the perception that they're open to anything. So teams will feel compelled to give them a call and discuss a trade. So at the very least, come Wednesday, comes Thursday, you've got like the full picture of your options in front of you, and you know what the landscape is. You want those calls coming in. The earlier, the better. The more competition you can create for the pick, the better. Because then at least, even if you're intending to draft Drake May or J.J. McCarthy or whoever else, third overall, you at the very least know what you're balancing that against.
All right, so you did a column yesterday, one of your mailbag pieces, where you get asked a lot of questions about, who's going to be there, what's going to happen. The first one there was, I guess the obvious one, because I said the Patriots going to end up with a quarterback in the draft at number 3. You said, Michael's like, are they going to trade down? So if you had to give it a percentage right now, this is what somebody had asked you. You think the Pats are staying put, or are they going to trade down and take one of these, if you believe Elliott Wolf, one of these 3 other of the 6, ready to go quarterbacks to take over and play starting next year, or at least sit for a while? What is there? They're staying at 3. They're going to trade back.
I think Drake May is going to be the 3rd overall pick. Whether that's to New England, to the Giants, to the Vikings, I think Drake May is going to be the 3rd overall pick.
Okay.
I think the thing about like the J.J. McCarthy thing's funny because it's like a moving target a little bit. I think, you've heard all of this. People speaking with certainty that it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 in the draft. It's one of those things where I can't find as many people that are as gung-ho about J.J. McCarthy as some people in the media are, where I'm getting a lot of I don't see it, or I'm not quite there on him, or he's a 2nd-round pick, or, and it's just
somebody told you he was a 4th-round pick, didn't they?
Yeah, and you hear enough of that from around the league, and it's like, I wonder if he could slip a little. Like, I wonder. I had this conversation with someone last night, in the league. I was like, is it possible like he's there at 11 for the Vikings? Like, is it possible they wouldn't need to trade up for him? And you start to think about it, and you go through it in your head, and if he gets past the Giants at 6, like, it becomes pretty real that he gets to 11, Because if the Cardinals stick at 4, and Monty Ossenfort there with the 4th overall pick is driving a hard bargain, which tells me he has a player he likes there. And
yeah, I think it's a player we both like.
I think all 3 of us, me, you, and Monty.
Yeah. I think we watched him. I think he played his games.
Is it possible? Is possible he might be connected to Ohio?
A famous father. Yeah. Famous father, right? But there is that scenario where it's like, okay, at 4, they stick and take Marvin Harrison. 5, the Chargers take Joe Alt or Malik Neighbors. I don't know if the Giants are as high on J.J. McCarthy. And then you start to get to teams that have quarterbacks, right? So I don't think the Titans take him. They're sort of in on Will Levis this year. The Falcons didn't have a chance to work him out. Kirk Cousins is there. It's possible he gets to 11, Now, I don't think that's likely, but, it's interesting that way because I think once you get past the first 2 picks, there are some different scenarios. But I do think the likelihood is Drake May goes 3rd overall to one of the 3 teams I mentioned.
All right. Bert's here with us for the entire hour as we talk about the Patriots and the draft day looming here. Of the other quarterbacks, and Elliott Wolf spoke about this yesterday, are there real possibilities there, you think, specifically for the Patriots? Again, you wrote about one yesterday, about one visit that they had made, a small contingent of Patriots staffers when they were looking at other guys, and there was one guy in particular. Do you see the Patriots truly as interested in a guy like Penix or one of the other guys as opposed to who will most likely be there at 3 in Drake May?
Well, the whole landscape here, right? Like, so they tried to do work with Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams more or less shut everybody but the Bears down. Like, Caleb Williams didn't even visit the Commanders. You know what I mean?
Is that right?
The Commanders wanted to have him in.
Isn't he from
He's from DC? Yeah, he's from DC. Didn't even visit the Commanders.
I'm not talking to you guys.
Right. So, like I think we know what's happening there. Then, so the Patriots had the next 3 quarterbacks. They did the full gamut, right? So they did the Zoom calls with them. They went the full cavalry, the 9 guys to the pro days. Obviously, the combine interviews, that's easy. Those are just the 15-minute quick hitters. Had all those guys in for 30 visits. With no other quarterbacks did they do all of that. With Bo Nix, now his pro day did conflict with the start of free agency, but they sent a big contingent to Oregon, and they got time with Bo Nix at Oregon. They didn't do the same with Penix because Penix's pro day conflicted with Drake May's pro day. Cam Williams, their college scouting director, was the only one of the bigger group that was at LSU that peeled off from LSU to go to Washington to see Penix. The rest of them went to North Carolina. Now, there were 3 other scouts at Washington, 3 other Patriot scouts at Washington with Cam Williams. So they did have people there, but they didn't get time with him to the side. They hadn't talked to him at the combine. And so having him in for the 30 visit was sort of some catch-up work too. But it was scheduled late, and I mentioned this on the air to you guys the other night, Michael. I have it on pretty good authority. The reason why is, you're covering yourself for a trade down. You're preparing for the possibility that you trade down. And part of that, of course, too, is like we really want to get a good picture of what the gap is between like Drake May at 3 and Penix at 11. So that helps us value the pick a little bit more. Like, what's the value in May at 3 versus Penix at 11, and that informs us a little bit more in like what we're getting if we trade.
All right, well, let me ask you, what's just using your, and I know you put ceiling on your column. You got a column coming out on quarterbacks.
Yep.
So the ceiling comp. The ceiling comp for Drake May is, let's go high. Let's say it's like Josh Allen. With the little Justin Herbert.
Right. So I said Justin Herbert
with a Josh Allen
skill
playing
set
style.
with a Josh Allen play style. Yeah.
All right. What's the gap between that hybrid and Phillip Rivers? Because that's your ceiling comp for Michael Penix Jr. So what is that gap?
So, I think part of it with Penix versus, and this is what's so unique about this class. When Michael Penix graduated high school, Drake May was a freshman, right? J.J. McCarthy was a freshman. Caleb Williams was a freshman. And because of the COVID year, the bonus COVID year of eligibility all these guys got, it's a little wonky this year when it comes to comparing them, and they're not really apples to apples. And that's like where when you look at Penix and you look at Bo Nix and you look at Jayden Daniels, you can look at those guys and you can say, okay, like, where were they at when they were Drake May's age? And the reality is Bo Nix is probably an undrafted free agent. Jayden Daniels may be a day 3 pick. And Michael Penix might be undrafted. So it's hard to compare them apples to apples because they're at such different stages. I really like the fascinating thing about Penix to me is as the coaches have gotten more involved, you start to hear better things about him. Like the scouts don't like him, right? Like, so
the scouts don't like him.
The scouts aren't wild about him, which is really interesting. Like, so the scouts, like, I remember I had a scout tell me, going into the championship game, I made calls on McCarthy and Penix, and I had a high-level guy with the team say to me, Michael Penix is a three-point shooter. He is unbelievable down the field, like great down the field accuracy, but he's scatter shot underneath. And it's a weird thing because it's usually the opposite. You know what I mean? Like, but this is a kid who's got a great arm, good sense, knows the game, excellent down the field. But he can be a little bit all over the place, short to intermediate. And then you turn on the Michigan game, and what did Michigan force him to do with an NFL type of defense? All those guys from the Ravens coaching on that side of the ball, they forced them to go on 10, 12, 14 play drives, and Penix struggled. And so, like, you see that, and, like, I felt like for the last 3 months, the NFL is not as high on Michael Penix as the general public is. And then I started talking to coaches. And as you know, Michael, because you've done books on this, right? Coaches don't know anything in January. They're just getting started because they've been coaching their own season. And then they start to study, and they go through it, and they meet with the guys and everything else. Coaches love Michael Penix. I had in that column that's going up today, and I'd urge everybody to check it out. That column, there are 2 coaches who say, I think he's the second best quarterback in the draft behind Caleb Williams.
Wow.
So that divide, how do you reconcile that? it's interesting, right?
Well, especially if I'm not saying he's one-dimensional, but if there's one part of his game, the downfield game, that is so much better than the underneath stuff, how does a coach look at that and say,
here's what it is.
Love that guy.
Yeah, here's what it is.
What? That's something like
So
I would say.
That.
Oh, see how far he threw it? That was awesome.
So I asked Penix, or I asked somebody who knows Penix really well that. And the explanation he came up with was, Michael Penix has things you can't coach. The downfield accuracy you cannot coach. The anticipation you cannot coach. His feel and sense for the game you cannot coach. You can coach his footwork. You can clean up some things underneath. You can get him to so you say that, but then he's 24 and he's been in college for 6 years.
He's been in college for a long time.
So he's like what was that, Wojo from Duke? Who seemed like he was in college forever. Remember the little point guard?
Hitting the floor for season after season.
That's another reason to like him. Maturity is not an issue.
Plus, he'll be a doctor by the time he gets drafted.
That's right. But listen, the coaches liking things about Penix that you can't teach. Hardy, as a Michigan guy, you saw 8 Mile. I'm sure you saw 8 Mile and the whole freestyle thing.
Okay.
You heard this.
Bring it all together.
You hear the legend of this? Michael Penix, when they were trailing, I think, against Oregon, he's on the bench with his receivers. They're down, and they say he starts freestyling in that moment about how they're going to come back and win the game. It's
I'm out.
Legitimately rapping in the fourth quarter, saying what he's going to do. But look, I don't know about the rapping skills. They came back and won the game.
Yeah. Well, maybe he's nice on the mic, but
he's nice on the mic. He's nice, and he's nice downfield.
We gotta break.
One thing on Penix I think is interesting too, and this quote's in that story too, is just sorry, Hardy.
No, it's
Hardy's like,
talk anyway. I don't care.
The one thing I thought was interesting was I had a coach say to me, everything that they say about J.J. McCarthy being a winner, they should be saying about Michael Penix, because he won at Indiana, a place where no one wins. And then he goes to Washington, and they hadn't been in a national title game in how long?
Okay.
Right?
All right.
So
it's worthy of something. Let's talk a little bit more about what Elliot Wolf had to say yesterday in terms of what the Patriots already have and what they'd be able to support right now and what that means for the draft next week with Bert Breer here on Toucher and Hardy, which is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Albert BREER is with us here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. On Toucher and Hardy. Michael HOLLEY is also here, talking about the draft, talking about quarterbacks, and talking about Elliott Wolf, who said yesterday when he was asked if the Patriots offense can support a rookie quarterback, he had a lot to say about it in terms of what they already have. He said, we have NFL receivers. We have NFL tight ends. We have NFL running backs. We have NFL offensive linemen. So this was all as a means to say we don't have to do a bunch of drafting in the offense. Yeah, a quarterback, of course. A quarterback be good, but we got a lot of stuff in place. Do you agree with that assessment?
No, and I don't know that he does either.
Okay, all right. Well, let's take it piece by piece. Do they have NFL receivers?
See, that one's tough just because, yeah, they do, but they don't have a number one. They're
third and fourth receivers.
If you don't have a number one, you can't say you have receivers.
Will Kendrick Bourne make every team in the league? Probably. Will KJ Osborne make every team in the league? Probably. Will they start for every team in the league? No. So, it's. I think that's like the situation they're in on offense is exactly why this is a multi-year rebuild, is because their holes are at the most important, most expensive positions. You can't fix them all at once. It's hard to go out and get a receiver. It's hard to go out and get a left tackle. It's hard to go out and get a quarterback. And generally, you can't fix three positions like that in one offseason, So that's not to say they don't have good players. They do. Mike Nwenu is a good player. David Andrews is a good player. Yeah. Hunter Henry's a good player. Yeah. I think Osborne and Bourne are pieces, you know. But, what they have is a bunch of complementary pieces. They don't have cornerstones. And with the third overall pick, you'd hope you either get one big cornerstone, which is the quarterback, or you generate enough capital to fill multiple holes.
See, that's why I think he was telling the truth. He just didn't tell the whole truth.
Yeah.
So, we have NFL players. We have good players. Yeah, they do. The Patriots do have good players. Yeah. They don't have they don't have a single great player on offense. Yeah. Nobody on offense. I'm including offensive linemen. I like a winner, good. All these tight end. Obviously, they don't have a quarterback. They don't have any great players, and you could say they probably don't have any great players on defense. So, but I do see where he's going because, Bert, I disagree. I don't think it's hard to get a receiver. It's getting easier and easier to get a receiver.
It is getting easier
if you know how to draft. And the Patriots for years couldn't draft a receiver, but now
I should amend that.
You'd have
to get a number one.
Yeah,
that's tough.
What about the idea?
But you have to be an idiot not to get a receiver now. Though,
there's a lot of
it's tons of them,
and we can have a longer discussion. I think we have had this discussion here about how it's just the way the sport's going and 7-on-7 and the best athletes playing there. Yeah, it's easier than it's ever been to find a receiver.
Yeah, he should be able to get one from his background with the Packers, and they never, for Aaron Rodgers, never drafted a receiver in the first round, but they always came up with good wide receivers.
What about the idea of trading for somebody who's out there already?
And I think you're going to A.J. Brown now.
Could be A.J. Brown. Could be one of the guys from San Francisco. Could be, there are a number of guys who may be gettable in the next week.
I think that turns into like a draft weekend type of thing where when you come out of the first round and then you're resetting and you're looking at what's left at the position, and like San Francisco with Ayuk and Cincinnati with Higgins, like they have a better idea of what's out there for them. And this is where, the Patriots are in this sort of spot, because what happens is, and again, like Michael, you know this because you've been in these rooms and written books on it and everything else. Between the different days of the draft, everybody resets, and where the opportunity could be for you to go and get one is after the first round, teams going in and resetting their board and looking at it and saying, oh my God, I can't believe this guy is still there. The power of having a high pick in the second round. If you're San Francisco and you're saying, I'll just throw a name out there. Let's say A.D. Mitchell. You didn't expect him to fall out from Texas. You didn't expect him to fall out of the first round. And there he is. And you're like, man, I I'd really like to get him. And then you call the Patriots. I think the Patriots have the second pick on day 2. Is that right?
I believe so, yeah.
I think that's right.
34.
Right? Yeah, 34. So they have the second pick on day 2. Like, that's a powerful piece to have. So you could call San Francisco on Ayuk, and you could call Cincinnati on Higgins, and maybe a guy that they really like has fallen out of the first round. And now all of a sudden the equation is different for them because they're looking at it and saying, okay, well, this guy might be off we love Ayuk, we love Higgins, but we can't budget to keep him based on what else we have on our roster at those positions where the Niners are paying Deebo Samuel and the Bengals are going to have to pay Jamar Chase. And, well, we either get 1 year of this guy and we're not going to be able to afford to keep him, or we get 4 years of cost control with this guy who we really like, who we didn't expect to be there. Let's just do it. So that sort of opportunity can certainly present itself during the draft.
All right. You can join us, by the way. It's 617-779-0985. You can ask Bert a question about the draft, which is coming up here. The trades that could be made for the Patriots. Wolf talked about this yesterday. Now, he left it wide open. He said, we're open for business. First round, second round, third round. The amount of discussions that would have to take place in order for them to trade out of that third overall pick, though, I think is, number one, the most compelling, and the one that obviously is going to yield you the most in terms of a return. So I guess I got to ask you more directly, because when we talked about it earlier when you first got here, he said, well, you said Drake May is going with the third overall pick. You know, you think regardless of who's there. So what are the odds that the Patriots are that team? Or do you think they're really open for business with that third overall pick?
No, I mean, like, I think they are listening. Now, I would say this, like, you know, I made the point the other night that, you know, there's some disagreement in the building, and there are people who, you know, really like J.J. McCarthy. There are others who think he's just a guy and think, you know, we need to swing for the fences and the upside with Drake May. And I think all of that's healthy. You know, I think it's informative it can inform you to know where Elliott Wolf's coming from, which is when you talk to those guys, the Reggie McKenzies, the Scott McLuhans, the John Schneiders, the guys who've been through that Ron Wolf school, right? Like the Ted Thompson, Ron Wolf school. What they'll all tell you is we all got good at our jobs because we got to see everything. So that's just that program. Everyone in the room is getting to see everything. It wasn't like that here for a long, long time.
It wasn't.
It was not like that. It was very siloed off.
You see nothing.
Yeah, it was very siloed off. So you get to see everything, but, you know, in the end, Ron Wolf or Ted Thompson or whoever was in charge wasn't telling everyone what they personally were thinking because they didn't want to contaminate the opinions of other people in the room. And that's why I sort of laughed when I heard this stuff about Elliott Wolf pushing for something. He's got the trigger. Why does he have to push for it, right? Or Elliott Wolf being in love with somebody. Because if I know anything about that program, it'd be that Elliott is listening to all of his scouts, using all of his resources, and probably keeping his own intentions to himself. At least if he's doing it the way his dad did it, if he's doing it the way Ted Thompson did it, he's letting everybody see everything. He's involving a lot of people in the process, and he would probably view his job as synthesizing all of that and being able to make the most informed decision on his own.
All right. Bert, if you had to pick one NFL team who this draft is most important for in terms of where they are right now, what they can do to significantly improve or reach the next level with things that happen in this draft, who would it be, both from the AFC and the NFC?
Arizona. I think it's a really important draft for them. You know, in the NFC, I look at where they are and what they did last year, and I think it was brilliant moving around the way that they did. Monty obviously was here. He's their GM, and to move down from 3 to 11, then back up to 6, and position yourself to do that, and position yourself to get the player you were going to take at 3 in the beginning, which was Paris Johnson, and then set yourself up where you have 2 first-round picks the following year. You've really kind of created some runway to build a core there. Now they got to start hitting on picks, and so they hit on Paris Johnson. what do you do with the 4th overall pick? What do you do at 27? I think this is a pivotal draft for them. Minnesota goes without saying. Really, really important draft with 2 first-round picks. Those are the 2 teams that have multiple first-rounders. In the AFC, I actually think it's Buffalo. Buffalo has 10 picks. And
where are they picking first? 28?
28 or 29. I think it's 28, yeah.
Okay.
28. I think it's 28. But they have 10 picks. And they have more or less deconstructed the core. It was sort of like the Sean McDermott, Brandon Beane, Josh Allen 1.0, right? Tre'Davious White's gone. Micah Hyde's gone. Jordan Poyer's gone. Stephon Diggs is gone. Mitch Morris is gone. And so they need to start hitting on draft picks, which is like how Kansas City, it's an underrated part of what the Chiefs have done. Mahomes is great. There's no question about that. An all-timer, we all know that. But look at the number of guys on defense they have that have been drafted over the last 3 years that have turned into really good players, right? George Karlaftis, Trent McDuffie, L'Jarius Sneed, who they just wound up trading. They have Nick Bolton. They have hit on draft pick after draft pick after draft pick on offense. Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith. You just kind of look at what the Chiefs have done. That's what Buffalo needs to start doing. That's the reality of having your quarterback come off of the rookie contract and then go on to the bigger contract, is you go from having the flexibility to pull both the veteran and rookie lever and build your team aggressively to, okay, now we got to find a way to get more affordable talent on our roster, which you do that in the draft.
You want to get a little Homer crazy here? A little Homer crazy? If Buffalo's in transition.
Yep.
The Jets have a 40-year-old quarterback. You never know what's going to happen with his Achilles.
Yep. Miami's at a turning point.
And Miami's lost some players. Hey, if the Patriots are one of those teams that hits a quarterback and gets a wide receiver, could the Patriots be, not win the division, but could they be a lot better than I think they're going to be, you think they're going to be, everybody in this room thinks they're going to be?
I still think the target is to be more competitive in 2025. There's just too many holes in the roster.
Too much, huh?
Too many holes, yeah. And I've heard people compare him to Houston, and say CJ Stroud did change a lot of things there, no question. That was also the 3rd year of Nick Caserio's build. You know what I mean? And so they had been adding players, and Nick Caserio had quietly been doing a pretty solid job of just laying a foundation there. So when they took their big swing on CJ, so that when they took their big swing and moving up and getting Will Anderson for the defense, right? When they hired DeMeco Ryans, there was more of a foundation in place. And so I think holding a lot of people almost look at that as if it was a year 1 thing, and it wasn't. It was year 3.
Cost them a couple coaches too, because it wasn't just DeMeco Ryans. They
went through Lovie Smith. They went through David Culley. Yeah. So I mean, I do think I appreciate the point that maybe they'd be a little more competitive this year than they were last year, and maybe the division's a little less daunting than it was last year. I don't see a playoff team right now.
All right. I see Eddie on the phone here. Eddie, I'm gonna grab your call as soon as we come back, and more questions about some specific teams and what they could be doing in the draft with Bert Breer, Michael Holley, and Ryan Johnston with the headlines now on Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines.
Red Sox wrapped up their homestand with a 5-4 loss to Cleveland. They lose 3 out of 4 to the Guardians and 7 out of 10 on the homestand, as now they head out on the road to take on Pittsburgh, starting a 3-game series tonight. Rafael Devers missed the game yesterday with an MRI on his knee, revealing a bone bruise. Sox say they are hoping to avoid putting him on the injured list. Tyler O'Neill landed on the 7-day IL yesterday. He's still dealing with concussion symptoms after colliding with Devers during Monday's game. Patriots scouting director Elliot Wolf spoke to reporters yesterday, said the team is willing to trade the number 3 overall pick, said they are open for business, but also said some good things about 6 of the top quarterbacks in this year's draft. NHL released the entire schedule of the first round of the playoffs last night. Bruins and Toronto, of course, open their series tomorrow night. Game 2 will be at the Garden on Monday, and then games 3 and 4 set for Wednesday and next Saturday nights in Toronto. NHL owners officially approved the move of the Arizona Coyotes to Salt Lake City. they may not have a name before the season starts. They're going to be Utah something or others, but we won't know what for apparently months yet. And the Celtics will find out who their first-round opponent is tonight. Bulls and Miami will meet for the 8th seed in the East. No Jimmy Butler for the Heat. He's got a sprained MCL. Out west, New Orleans and Sacramento will play for the right to meet Oklahoma City in the first round. Sports Hub headlines brought to you by WellPoint, formerly Unicare. They've teamed with Charlie Coyle for First Responder Friday, so do something kind today to thank our amazing first responders for keeping our communities safe. Thank you. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. More headlines, 8 o'clock.
This is Charlie McAvoy.
High slot, McAvoy. Hook check. They score! McAvoy!
And you're listening to the home of the Bruins.
McAvoy coming from deep in his own zone. Backhand. He scores! McAvoy!
98.5 The Sports Hub.
The NBA play-in tournament gives teams the chance to play their way into the postseason. If you're a new customer on FanDuel, you can play your way into $150. Just place any $5 bet, get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose, to use during the NBA playoffs. What are you going to use it on? Are you going to bet just the money line? You're going to bet a point spread? You're going to bet on 3-pointers? You can bet on whatever you want. You got $150 in bonus bets after you place that $5 bet if you're a new customer on FanDuel. FanDuel.com/Hardy to get started. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 and over and present in Massachusetts. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expires 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Hope is here. GamblingHelplineMA.org. Call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com or call 1-800-GAM-1234.
With UMass Lowell, becoming a high achiever is highly affordable. Choose from over 20 online graduate degrees under $20K. Get started today with UMass Lowell. Visit uml.edu/online.
Hey guys, it's Linus Allmark, Boston's goaltender, here to save you from boring electric vehicles. When I'm not on the ice, I need a car that moves as quickly and smoothly as I do. That's why I drive a Polestar 2. It's 100% electric, has great range, charges quickly, and has the power, torque, and suspension for responsive handling. It's really fun to drive, great on ice and tough conditions. And just like me, it's born in Sweden and made for Boston. But don't take my word for it. Visit Polestar Boston in Austin for a test drive or get details at polestar.com. Tell them Linus sent you.
Hi, I'm Matt Reddy, Vice President of Professional Firefighters of Massachusetts and a cancer survivor. Thanks to finding my cancer early. The conditions we work under and the chemicals we're exposed to make cancer the leading cause of death for firefighters. The PFFM is aggressively pursuing programs to detect cancer early, increasing the rate of survival. Now, Service Credit Union and Boston Defender Charlie McAvoy are joining the battle, generously donating $50,000 to purchase early detection cancer screenings that will identify over 50 types of cancer. Learn more now at servicecu.org/73.
So what do Gerard Mayo, Keith Folk, Chase Winovich, Mark Recchi, Jim Rice, and of course yours truly all have in common? We all made the life-changing decision to get LASIK surgery with the amazing team at Boston Vision. It's a new year, so make a New Year's resolution that lasts a lifetime. LASIK changed my life, and it can do the same for you. Go where the pros go. Book your free evaluation today at bostonvision.com and tell them Beatles sent you for $500 off. Boston Vision has locations in Brookline, Wellesley, Medford, Milford, and Andover. Because your best vision is Boston Vision.
Reed's Ferry Sheds, biggest shed dealer in New England. Not us. Home improvement stores, they've got parking lot sheds, they've got everything. The one I go to even has birds that live in the store. Serious, they're flying around. Now how are we going to top that? We had to go out and buy a bird sound effect. Dang thing scared people to death. Didn't work, but come to find out, didn't need it. Because we have one thing the home improvement store doesn't have. We have the Reed's Ferry Shed. No fall of particle board, higher quality, backed by a 30-year warranty, and so good looking you could put in the front yard. Just saying, if you need a shed, are you really going to go to a home improvement store? That's for the birds. Oh, that was good. Play the laughing bird sound effect. See a better quality shed. Okay, that's enough. Thank you. See a better quality shed at reedsferry.com, then make the call.
Call 888-85-SHEDS.
Need a shed? If it says Reed's Ferry, you got a good one.
Hey, it's Zoe from my amazing team at the Albrecht Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Westboro. Warm weather is upon us, and there's no better time to spring into action at Albrecht during their 23 clearance event. Take 20% off the MSRP on all 23 in-stock Ram 1500 Bighorn Lone Stars. View available inventory right now at albrechtcdjrwestboro.com. You'll get respect at Albrecht. Tell them Zoe sent you.
Vehicles must be in stock only in model year 2023. Not all customers will qualify for all incentives. Not valid on prior purchases. No cash value. See dealer for complete details. Offer expires 3/31/24.
April is here. Time to call Window Nation. Right now, buy 2 windows and get 2 free. Plus, save even more with no interest or payments for 24 months. Don't miss out. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com to schedule your free in-home estimate.
Celtics fans, you could score 5 cents off per gallon with Gulf Pay. Download the Gulf Pay app today for the fast and convenient way to pay at the pump. Gulf is proud to be the official fuel partner of the Boston Celtics.
Toucher and Hardy.
Such an fantastic explosion.
98.5, the Sports Hub.
For Albert BREER, what's going on?
Hey guys, good morning.
Good morning.
2 things first. I'm a huge fan of you guys. Toucher and Hardy. Shout out to Zoe, Felger and Mass, and shout out to my best friend T. Listen to the call. I just want to talk today about the Patriots draft decisions. So I heard you.
All right, you got all that, Bert?
Yeah, I think the idea of like filling multiple holes does make some sense, and like I'll be honest, like if I were them, I'd be tempted by the idea of having Minnesota's picks, like picking 11th, picking 23rd, and then having 2 first-round picks next year. I think something like that could really set you up. Now, all of that, like I think, rides on what you think of Michael Penix versus Drake May, what you think of Michael Penix versus J.J. McCarthy, because chances are. And I think Penix could go. I think Penix could go 13th to the Raiders. I think he could go 16th to the Seahawks. I think he could slide to the second round. I think there's a variance of outcomes with him and Bo Nix. Like it's a much bigger variance of outcomes with those guys. But like if the idea is get Penix at 11, and then I don't know, like Brian Thomas probably won't make it to 23. I'd have to think of the right receiver there, but maybe like A.D. Mitchell from Texas at 23, or Amarius Mims,
Troy Franklin,
right? Like
one of those guys,
or Amarius Mims or Troy Fatanu at tackle. Being able to fill multiple holes would tempt me.
Having 3 of the top 34 picks in the draft when you've got 3 major holes on offense is not the world thing in the world.
Yeah, but I think I just think people get too cute with this sometimes.
Right.
With, hey, I'm going to trade down. I'm going to get multiple picks, and then you come out of it, and you haven't come away with the blue chip players.
And that's what the
Patriots. That's why they're in this situation right now. They played too many games on draft day. They've had too many misses on draft day.
Yeah, but think of the value, Michael.
I remember.
Okay,
so you nailed the market. Come on,
the value.
I remember writing about this, in 21 and saying, like, the problem with Mac Jones isn't year 1 or year 2. The problem with Mac Jones could be year 5, where. Like you've gotten good production, and if everything was right around Mac, maybe you could have gotten good production in year 2 and year 3, and things weren't so sideways. But I still think you would have been asking that question year 4: do we pay him? Do we go forward with him? Is he good enough to compete in the AFC? And I think that's the issue you might run into with a Penix. It's like, do you get to year 5 and you're like, it's not quite enough? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why that to me is the case for Drake May, is like in an environment where for the next 10 years, you could be dealing with Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence in the AFC. And in all likelihood, you're going to have to beat 3 of those teams in succession just to make it to the Super Bowl. Is J.J. McCarthy, is Michael Penix ever going to be enough? You can close your eyes and imagine that with Drake May. You know what I mean? Like
yes, that's right.
You can look at Drake May and say, I can see it. Now, there's a chance that it's a mess and we screw up his development, and like a lot of the fundamental things that he needs fixed don't get fixed. And oh God, like we're back in the draft in 3 years. But there's also the chance that you really hit the way Buffalo really hit with Josh Allen. Because remember, a lot of these same questions we're asking about Drake May were being asked about Josh Allen. If you remember that year, 2018, I think it was Peter had reported that the Browns were interested in Josh Allen. This is like 3 weeks before the draft. And the Browns got killed for it. everybody was like, "What are they doing? That makes no sense."
This
Josh
guy
Allen,
from
Josh
Wyoming.
yeah, but I mean, because his production, like his last year at Wyoming, wasn't great. But as you dug into it some more, right? As you kind of like as it was examined a little bit more, it's like, all right, well, he lost a couple of NFL players from the year before in a place that never has NFL players on offense, right? And I think there was a coach. There was some shuffling on the coaching staff, and a lot of things went the wrong way, and he regressed a little. And he had to learn from having to carry the team because the team around him wasn't very good. Who does that sound like?
That's Drake May.
That's Drake May.
That's Drake May.
Drake May lost Josh Downs. He lost his offensive coordinator, Phil Longo. The offensive line was a mess this year. I think most teams you talk to would say the scheme was a mess. So I think if you talk to Josh about it now, or even you talk to Mahomes about it, because I've said this to Patrick before, it's like the experience of having had to put a team on your back, even if it didn't really work out every time out in college, that's valuable experience. And the two quarterbacks in this draft who've really had that experience are Caleb Williams and Drake May. Even Jaden Daniels, like, look what was around him, you know? Like, now he was awesome, incredible, like, obviously.
And plus, the dude is 45 years old. I mean, he's he played in college so long.
Right. But look who he's throwing to. How often did J.J. McCarthy have to be the best player on the field for Michigan to win?
Never.
Right?
Never. We saw Bert. We know it. We know it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just like such this fear that I have of drafting McCarthy and having, your expectation or the reality being like, oh, you've got a good team and he's a passenger on that team.
We're going to need to run the ball 35 times a game.
I've got two calls I want to get to here with Bert while he is still with us. Jimmy and Methuen is one of them. Jimmy, what do you got?
Hey, Bert, quick question. I'm a huge 49ers fan. It feels like the window's, slightly closing over there. What do you think they should do at 31? I just wanted your opinion. Thanks.
I think they should look at receiver and try to trade Brandon Ayuk, to be honest with you, just because they've got so many mouths to feed. And I just think if you look at what they did 4 years ago when they offloaded DeForest Buckner, it was the same sort of situation where they had like a bottleneck of big contracts and they didn't want to let go of DeForest Buckner, but it became one of these, well, we've got a surplus at that position because we have Eric Armstead, we have Nick Bosa on the defensive line, so we can afford to trade a great player as long as the return is good. And I think they got wound up with the 12th overall pick for DeForest Buckner. Like in that same sort of thing with Debo Sam with Brandon Ayuk. They love Ayuk. Yep. I think if you ask them, he's the best pure receiver on their team because Debo's more of a gadget guy. But they've got such a surplus of offensive skill talent that, like, if they take, say, Ladd McConkey at 31st overall, right? Can they assimilate the production at a much lower cost and sort of reset their contract structure a little bit? It's interesting because I think there's a lot of pressure on a lot of people there to win now, and then you have the Brock Purdy contract potentially coming down the pike. Like, it's about to get pretty complicated.
Yeah, and if it's not a fluke, if it's not something that's anomalous with them being where they were the last couple of years, then you better capitalize.
Right. And I think like trading Brandon Ayuk would be sort of getting ahead of the problem, where you're moving a guy who's about to get really expensive off the roster and getting a guy who's cheaper onto the roster.
Bob and Winthrop for Albert Breer. Yes, Bob.
Hey, Bert. I know there's always varying opinions about prospects, oftentimes from scouts and coaches. As far as Drake May, the opinions seem to be very varying and extreme. When we talk about people who played the position like Tim Hasselbeck, who thinks he's the best prospect in 4 years, and then you have Dan Orlovsky, who thinks he needs to sit for 2 years. Is it uncommon to have that wide of a range of opinions from people like that who are a little bit more, I wouldn't say button up than scouts or coaches, but actually played?
I mean, I think Belichick might have said this on the McAfee show the other day, that like most fans would be surprised how different draft boards look from team to team, and how like a lot of the best teams have very small draft boards. Like, I mean, there are teams that have like you think like, okay, well, like they have 32 first round grades, 32 second. That's not the way it works. Like, like some of the best teams that have the most refined like parameters for what they're looking for in every position might have 100 guys in their draft board. You know what I mean? Like, and so their grades are going to vary. And I mean, I think you'd be surprised to see that some teams might not have a first-round grade on Drake May. Other teams look at him as the second or third best player in the draft. Some teams might have a fourth-round grade on J.J. McCarthy. Other teams might view him as a starter. I think the opinions inside these buildings vary a lot. That like.
And they're using different metrics too. Everybody's got a different,
like you're looking for different things.
System.
Yeah, like and you're running a different offense,
and they got a
defense.
new scouting system this year. The Patriots do too.
Right.
So how they view Drake May, how this administration views Drake May might be different than what they would have looked at last year.
I would say like people from that system. There's a pretty good track record of drafting quarterbacks. Like if you look at it, like it's just, I mean, like. We John Schneider with Russell Wilson, Reggie McKenzie with Derek Carr. Like you can go. It's not just the Green Bay guys. It's the guys who came from
Hardy's
Green Bay.
I could feel you winding up.
I know.
You get that look in your eyes. You know what? That gives me a whole nother thing to talk about. We could do it for another hour, but Bert, it's a busy time. You going to be with us next week?
I will be. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
All right.
Always good to see you, buddy. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
It's like
Albert
a teacher
BREER.
trying to quiet the class.
No, I love the death.
I could tell Hardy was getting nervous there.
No, only because you were getting ready. That brings up a whole nother interesting thing. We have a game to play with Michael Holley. Did you know this?
Oh, I didn't know this. I love games.
You'll find out
Did you
next.
know this?
You'll find out next here on Toucher and Hardy with Michael Holley. Again, thanks to Bert BREER for joining us this morning on the Sports Hub.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hey, it's Dan O'Brien.
Celtics, Bruins, Revs, and Patriots.
Touchdown, Patriots.
Boston's home for sports is 98.5. The Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines.
The Red Sox losing 5-4 yesterday afternoon to the Cleveland Guardians. Dropped 3 out of 4 in that series and 7 out of 10 in the homestand. Rafael Devers missed the game with a bone bruise in his knee. Got an MRI yesterday. Not sure how long he'll be out, but he did say he's not going to rush back. Wants to be 100%. Team put Tyler O'Neill on the 7-day IL yesterday. He's got concussion symptoms after colliding with Devers during Monday's game. Sox go to Pittsburgh tonight to start a 3-game series and a 6-game road trip. Patriots Director of Scouting Elliott Wolf said yesterday the team is willing to trade the number 3 overall pick if the right deal comes along, but also had good things to say about 6 of the top quarterbacks in this year's draft. NHL released the schedule for the first round of the playoffs last night. We knew it'd be Game 1 tomorrow night for the Bruins and Maple Leafs. Game 2 will be Monday night at TD Garden, 7 p.m. Games 3 and 4 are in Toronto on Wednesday, and then a nice long break until Saturday, Game 4. NHL owners have officially approved the Arizona Coyotes sale and relocation to Salt Lake City. Celtics will find out their first-round opponent tonight. It's either the Bulls or Miami. Heat won't have Jimmy Butler for the matchup tonight in the play-in round. Winner gets the 8th seed. Butler's got a sprained MCL, by the way. New Orleans and Sacramento will play tonight in the West for the right to meet Oklahoma City in the first round. Headlines are brought to you by Dulce Vita Tequila, America's #1 selling organic tequila. Try Dulce Vita's Blanco, Reposado, Añejo, and flavored tequilas. Dulce Vita Spirits, Austin, Texas. Tequila, pure and simple. Viva Dulce Vita responsibly. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub. We got more headlines in 30 minutes.
Listen to it. Laugh at it. Get mad at it. Agree with it. Argue about it. It is Boston Sports. Boston Sports. And it is all we do. 98.5 The Sports Hub. On the air. Online. On the air. This is how Boston sports fans start their day. Dutcher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
It may have been mentioned in passing while Albert BREER was here, but you will notice without Fred Dutcher here, no Jets-specific draft questions. I did have one because there was one in his mailbag about will they draft a quarterback. Kind of an interesting proposition there, but I decided at the end of it, you know what? We've had a breather for a week. They're not dominated by Jets conversation. Let's keep it that way.
And I'll answer that question. No. I'll answer like Bert. No, they will not.
No, they will not.
They will not. They will not draft a quarterback.
Hold on a second. You think that's how Bert would answer?
No,
like a 4-word answer.
I'm boiling it down. Bert's answer would be about 3 minutes.
You know, it's interesting because I was talking about this with
with Joe,
with the Jets executive, and okay, so here's the thing.
No, you say Joe. You say Joe.
Well,
Joe's not. Rest of us say Joe Douglas, the general manager. I was talking to Joe about this, and Joe and Robert. Robert Saleh. Oh, okay.
Okay, but here's the thing. So in 2019, they had a similar scenario happening in 2 other teams, one in the AFC
He's just trying to give you context. Just trying to give you context, the whole picture.
Love him. And it'll be great to have Bert here again next week. But earlier this week, we were tossing around some ideas for when Dan Roach was here, and we got hijacked one day by the Seth Wickersham and Van Natta and Fowler story about Bill Belichick. So we couldn't play the 2 games we wanted to play with Dan Roach. We only got to play the Disney game, which, I mean, was a huge hit, mostly because we got the voice of Donald Duck to participate.
Hi, it's Donald Duck.
Which was a huge treat for Dan.
Awesome.
But Ryan
Radio
Johnston prepared another game that we said, you know what? It's too good not to use. It's too good not to use. So, Michael Holley, we're going to play this game now with you.
Well, now we know why he had that expression on his face. Boy, that caught Molina and he's down. Ouch. Direct hit. Does not look good at all.
So,
down he goes.
To
Does not sound fun.
Can't have a game without a name. I guess we'll call it Balls to the Wall.
That works.
Decided this in the moment, below the belt, whatever it is. And this
So on Monday, we had a clip of Ron Washington. You heard it there, talking about one of his players who had fouled a ball off of his groin area. And wound up with a testicular contusion.
He's fine. What they call it, testicular contusion.
Does not sound fun.
No, it's not funny, but he's fine.
What do you mean it's not funny? Why'd you say of course it's funny?
He was laughing when he said it. It's not funny, but, it's kind of funny.
Is it someone else? Is it the reporter says, it's not funny? Oh, of course not. Of course not funny. You got smacked in the balls with the... And if you watch it frame by frame, which I have, Michael.
Oh, how do you do it? How do you do it without just like wincing?
Okay, and here's the problem. I believe it was a glancing blow.
It doesn't matter.
No, it makes it worse.
Worse.
Yep.
Because the ball really the baseball really impacts the thigh more than anything, but it grazes one, if not both, as it's going across. And we all know those are maybe the most nauseating, and the ones that take a second to kind of really settle in, put you down on your knees.
I'm telling you, it is the dirtiest thing you can do. Whether it's intentional is dirty. Like, men should never do that to other men. Like, you just like, okay, you can't hate me that much. You would do that to me. That is that is out of bounds. But one of the most amazing testicular situations I've ever seen in a pro event.
Oh, do tell.
And you remember, I think it was the Celtics were involved. It was the Celtics and Cavaliers. Remember Anderson Varejao? Remember that guy?
Sure.
Ray Allen, I don't think he did it on purpose. But Ray Allen put a knee to the area. A knee. You don't get one. You get both. It's a package deal there. And Varejao was stone-faced. Like nothing. He didn't flinch.
Maybe he's a eunuch.
Maybe he is.
Well,
I've never seen anything like it.
It happens at basketball a lot. Draymond Green unfairly maligned for years.
Oh, yeah.
For going
unfairly
after that region. But in baseball, these are all accidents, and we have a series of incidents.
There's a long history of testicular injuries in Major League Baseball.
Yes, Ryan Johnston has a comprehensive list. He will tell you the incident, and then you will have to guess the specifics of the incident.
Okay.
Ryan?
All right. Question 1. In 1980, Michael, this pitcher not only had an abysmal 1-16 record for the Seattle Mariners, but also ruptured his yam bag after being struck by a comebacker off the bat of Ron Smalley. Was that Mike Parrott, Byron McLaughlin, or Rick Honeycutt?
Oh, no, it's too early for Honeycutt. 1980? Who's my other option?
Mike Parrott or Byron McLaughlin?
I'm going to go Mike Parrott.
Congratulations.
I got big balls. I got big balls. I've got such big balls. I'm not such a big ball.
This might be the best game.
Oh, it's good.
It gets better.
Oh, it gets better.
Yeah,
okay.
that's just the first one.
There we go.
Award winning.
All right, here we go. Question 2. In 2022, a little bit more recent.
Okay.
A little over 3 innings after being hit by a foul tip, this NL East catcher's coin purse blew up like a balloon.
His coin purse.
Required a visit to the hospital during the 6th inning of the game, causing him to miss the remaining 3 weeks of the season. So was that catcher Garrett Stubbs, Travis d'Arnaud, or Kybert Ruiz?
I just want to. How many descriptions can you come up with?
Well, so far we've had yam bag and coin purse.
Coin purse. So this is your hockey background. Remember, they used to say it about Doc Emmerich. He'd have all these words.
You have to have 100 synonyms for pass.
Shovel, push, slide.
Yeah. Slides it across. Give me the names again.
All right, so we had Garrett Stubbs, Travis d'Arnaud.
And it's important that you do well in this quiz. That the whole point of the exercise is to do well. It's not so that Ryan can say things like yam bag and coin purse. Yeah. It's for you to get the answers right, Michael. Don't lose sight of what we're doing.
It would be funny if the guy was Garrett Stubbs. So anyway, just as funny, Stubbs. But keep going. Go ahead.
Garrett Stubbs, Travis d'Arnaud, or Kybert Ruiz.
Ruiz.
Wow.
Unbelievable. I
Two
mean,
for
it's-
two.
He is.
Let's go.
It's just great balls of fire.
So far, we got the comebacker injury, and we have a foul ball injury.
The foul tip. Yeah.
Okay,
Very sensitive topic.
Yeah,
Yes.
the foul tip one is especially painful because it's self-inflicted.
All
It's
right.
just-
So this next question involves a player that we all know very well on the offensive side.
that was the
of things,
catcher. That was
however.
not self-inflicted. Excuse me.
No. It was,
Yes.
Uh,
Hold on a second. Yeah, that is an excellent point. On the, we missed this one on the Ruiz one.
Our catcher is going to wear that foul tip. That was a horrible redirect into K-Bear Ruiz. Yep. We all feel it.
It's a horrible redirect.
It's the yep. It's the
Gonna
yep
wear
that kills me.
Three innings
Into
later.
K-Bear Ruiz.
Three innings later, he was on his way to the hospital.
That's all he had. That's all that needs to be said. Yep.
All right.
Yep. We
so,
understand.
Michael, we take you back to 1997.
Oh, good old
Right,
days.
this is your wheelhouse.
One
All right, here we
Manny
go.
Ramirez, not yet a member of the Red Sox, however. He showed this Seattle Mariners reliever the true meaning of busting a nut after taking a line drive off the family jewels, caused both testicles to rupture.
Ow.
Amazingly,
Yep.
the pitcher still threw out Jim Thome at home plate before leaving the game and undergoing emergency reconstructive surgery. Was that pitcher Josias Manzanillo, Scott Sanders, or Ken Cloud?
I just the detail. These are all true. This is a true story.
This is a true story.
Reconstructive.
A Manny Ramirez line drive comebacker.
Oh, that's tough. Scott Sanders.
Unbelievable that he
Manzanillo was the correct answer.
finished the play, made the throw.
Made the throw and got Jim Thome coming to the plate.
Wow. Reconstructive surgery.
Both.
Oh.
At Cleveland Clinic. Go to Cleveland Clinic. Hey,
Not
what
sure
are you
who
in
the
for?
specialists are on that
You
one.
bring them in. Do you get there? This is like, hey, clear the highways. This is really important.
Yeah.
Everybody else in the waiting room, the emergency room. Now get out of the way. This is serious.
Cardiac
Come on.
arrest. That's nothing.
Don't you worry. We got the best guy in the business here for you. Don't you worry. We'll take care of it.
We got the best ball guy in North America.
The best.
You are lucky. You are lucky he's here.
All right. Last but not least, we
Okay.
have what is a fairly famous incident, I think.
Okay.
In 1994,
94.
Phillies first baseman John Kruk took an errant pickoff throw attempt in the Nads, got a hematoma, and during treatment, doctors discovered that he had testicular cancer. Kruk had the offending marble removed and returned to the lineup and played 75 games that season.
The offending marble.
Which Phillies pitcher may have saved John Kruk's life with that wild throw?
Great question.
Oh.
Is it Heathcliff Slocum, Mitch Wild Thing Williams, or Larry Anderson?
This is that is a great question. Because we know Wild Thing was there. We know Slope.
All three of those pitchers
they
were
all
on
there.
the 94 Phillies.
And they were all there.
Yep.
It was just it would just be too poetic that it would be Wild Thing Williams. So I'm gonna go.
But afterward, no, obviously not in the moment, but afterward.
I would have preferred to find out a different way than getting hit in the nuts by 90-something skipping up the wet grass in Los Angeles. I would have preferred he threw a chest high to me. That would have been better than trying to block it and taking one off the goobs, man. It broke my cup, and it was quite large.
Yep. That's still my favorite one.
That's
Yep.
fantastic.
I've got big balls.
Okay.
I've got big balls.
Well,
They're such big balls. And they're such big balls.
I'm not generally
He's got big balls.
known to have a weak
She's
stomach.
got big balls.
This This turned my stomach a couple of times just talking about this stuff.
You're not going to be the same.
I think
the weekend will be affected.
Yeah, I mean the John Crook story. We all know that one, but the swelling and the reconstructive surgery, that's the one that you just don't let go of right away.
Why did he continue playing?
Well, it's in the heat of the moment. You don't realize how.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. No. That's false. Yes, you do realize it in the moment.
Or love of the game.
Once you get hit there, okay,
sometimes
all bets are off.
Sometimes it takes a few seconds to really kick in.
I'm with you, Ryan. I'm with you.
It's a little bit of a delayed reaction.
I'm sorry. I love you guys. Teammates, sorry. Whatever. No, you got to understand. This is what happened. I'm not going to complete the play.
You play to the whistle. That's what
I'm not going to throw Jim Thome out at the plate. I'm not worried about Jim Thome.
Let's change the subject entirely because let's instead talk about the Celtics for a few minutes. Now, Cedric Maxwell is going to be joining us at 9 o'clock, so we'll be doing plenty of Celtics talk then. But we are getting closer and closer to the postseason for a team that feels like they've been getting ready for the postseason for at least a month. But still, we'll get a chance to talk about it here for a few minutes with Michael Holley coming up next here on Toucher and Hardy, which is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
on Monday. Ryan Johnston has been here all week. What?
You're like Fred and Hardy back on Monday. Scheduled to be back on Monday. We're all day to day, but I mean, come on now.
No, listen. I was the first to poke fun at Fred about
Of course you were. Yeah, which is the reason why you're here. Yeah. Okay.
About the folly of predicting his return from vacation back in the day. But that ain't him no more.
No.
It's a new year, new day, new show.
It's a new Fred.
Oh.
Fred will be here on Monday.
Okay.
Where's the vacation spot? Is it disclosed?
I think he said where he was going.
Yeah, he went to Hilton Head with his daughter. School vacation weekend.
All right, nice. Hilton Head.
Yep.
Yeah, so he's fine. He'll be back on Monday.
Schedule is out. They are both on it for Monday. As I always say to Ryan Johnston, he's fabulous. I always say to him at the end of the show, keep your phone on.
Ryan has been on this show, more than
100 times last year.
More than 100 times last year. So essentially, he is.
How about the stats this year? What are your stats so far?
I
this
have
year?
not added
You haven't
them
kept
up
up with the 2024 stats?
No.
I don't know. Ryan is part of the morning show.
He is?
Yeah. I mean, it's
I'm surprised when he's not here. I am. It's like
for a while that was a fair feeling to have. I mean, now it's not a surprise when he is here, but seriously, Dad, for all the years that you were doing it, I know you've got some scar tissue, you've got some PTSD.
Thank you.
But do you really have? What is your percentage feeling that Fred won't be here on Monday?
Oh, it's probably at 100% he'll be back.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
So all right, you've recovered quickly.
Yes, and I am just joking. Yes, of course. And most of us, I should say, come back from vacation refreshed and re-energized and ready. There are times in the last vacation he came back from, he was just sort of like, got in late last night or whatever it was the night before. Wasn't really feeling it. Took a day or two. So he'll be back on Monday. Good to go. Big week.
Yeah, I think this holds true for anybody. Isn't the scheduling of one day at home before you go back to work maybe the smartest thing you can do about it?
You have to have a little buffer.
Gotta do it.
Like, bare minimum, you've got to fly back the morning before you're due back at work. You can't come back like the night before.
I can do that and be okay with it. The night before return and work the next morning, especially if you have to be in early at work, it's never the right decision. Never, never, never.
And it's not just, hey, I was on vacation, I got to go back to work. Coming back home, there's a possibility there may be something you got to manage at home. Yeah. Like maybe something happened when you were away. If pets, if you got a pet sitter, the pets coming back, the pets are off schedule. Dogs. You have dogs?
I have a dog. Yes.
Okay, one dog. I have multiple dogs. Dogs.
So, Michael, last week I came back. My power had been out for like 3 days.
See, there it is.
And they were like, you're scheduled to be back online Tuesday around 10 p.m. And I'm like, no, I'm coming back. I'm back on Sunday. No, I need power.
Something. You got a day. There's got to be a managed day.
You still got those 3 dogs?
3 dogs. 3 dogs.
Michael, how are they getting along?
3 pugs.
Are
3 pugs?
Is it
3 pugs?
Is it still a 2-on-1 situation?
I noticed the other day that I think they're kind of getting used to each other
because the 2 were trying to kill the one.
They were
for
trying
a while.
to kill. Yeah, they were trying to kill the dog. The newest one, the youngest one.
This is a real thing.
Real thing.
He's not using hyperbole.
They were really trying to kill the dog.
So they weren't happy with the new addition.
So the 2 ones, they do everything together. These 2 dogs, and they got this new pug in the house, no baby pug, no nice little puppy, and so around us, they're fine. They're like, oh, there's a puppy. As soon as if we turn our backs, they will pounce. They will pounce on this pug. So like one day we just kind of we left for like 5 minutes. Hey, just hang out here in the room together. And we came back, and the kids came back and were like, oh, something's wrong. Wheezy is the new one. Something's wrong with Wheezy. I think she's been attacked. See why you're laughing? This actually happened. You're laughing.
Well, number one, Wheezy is a great name for a pug because they all wheeze.
Yeah, Wheezy.
Yeah.
So Wheezy was attacked because Wheezy is not just like this cute little puppy at the time, just like really will just kind of go at you, bark in your face, and just following the other ones around, biting their butt and all kinds of stuff. And they were just like, we're tired of you. Leave us alone. And they just went after her. So we had to take her and Take her to the hospital. Oh, take her to the hospital.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, no. We didn't have to take her, we had to put her down. No.
Send her to a farm.
No, we took her to the hospital to get her repaired. So she's fine now. They're getting along seemingly well.
I give you a lot of credit because I know a lot of people, and Michael, maybe you had even considered it.
Oh, I tried to make it happen. Come on, now, don't. You don't have to protect me on this. I tried to make it happen.
He tried to get rid of one of the dogs.
I did. I said, look, all right. And my wife just loves these dogs. I said, all right, look, we got too many. We got 3 dogs, and this is what happens when you have too many dogs. We have too many dogs, and the attacker. I think we know who the attacker is. I think we should give the dog away. Just rehome. That's the way they say now, RJ. Not give it away. This dog needs to be rehomed.
Okay.
So let's rehome this dog. And so I got to admit, I took advantage of my wife being upset. Yeah, I'm so upset. I'm like, hey, so we get rid of the dog? Yeah, I think, you take care of it. I was like, good. Let me spring into action.
So you had the carrier ready to go and the leash and everything.
I had it, made a couple of phone calls, ready to go. And then she backed out of it.
Were you in the driveway?
Pretty much.
How close did you get?
Oh, I had a meeting point. I had a meeting point. Hey, what time? Anytime. Hey, what? But aren't you work? Don't worry. I'll take off work. Don't worry. I got it. I will meet you. Hey, I'm pretty far away. That's all right. You want to meet? You want to meet halfway? No,
you want to meet in Chattanooga?
I will drive to you. I will drive to you. I'll take care of it. But they all and the whole family backed out. Kids backed out.
All at once, they just had
you can't do this.
Well, they should. Once that dog's in your house, they're there forever.
No,
they're part of the family.
No, sir.
It was just a mistake.
You wouldn't give away one of your kids if they acted out too much. Got to work through that. Be a good dad.
Well,
sure about that.
Okay, that's why with 2 kids, it's manageable. You can deal with that. It's that third dog. It's that third dog dynamic, the third kid dynamic. It's 3. 3's a bad number. Hey, the 3 of us are going away this weekend. One of you may not make it back. That's why it's 3. 3 is dangerous.
And every parent knows this, right? So we got 3 pugs and 3 kids.
Oh, you had 3? I thought you only had 2.
No, 3 kids.
Oh, man.
3 pugs, 3 kids.
So maybe you have been close to giving away one of the kids.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I have.
Which one?
Rehoming them.
Rehomed. Let's rehome this child.
It's preferable with a relative, but in a pinch, it's whoever can meet you.
You got to do what you got to do. I'll drive there. Remember I said I'll drive there. Parents know that when your kid asks, and Hardy, you know this, your kid asks for a dog, no matter how convincing and persuasive they are, they're not going to take care of the dog.
No.
They say they're going to do it. Oh, yeah, I'll walk it. I'll do that. I'll feed it. You don't have to do anything. These kids, they were ride or die for the dogs. They've always been. But in the morning, hey, who's day? Because we give days. It's a day. Whose day is it?
Oh, yeah.
Whose day is it with the dog? Well, I don't know. I did it yet. I don't know. Oh, I don't know. But you don't want me to give the dogs away, but you damn sure I don't take care of them.
You don't want to do anything for the care and feeding. And there are things I've had to give up with my dog for this show, which I would take that dog on a walk every single morning. Unless it was, I can count on one hand the number of times she did not get a morning walk in the 5.5 years we've had her due to like really bad conditions where she didn't want to go out anyway. But otherwise, cold, rain, whatever, I don't do the morning walk anymore. Now that's the mama. She's out there doing it. But a lot of the other stuff in the house, it amazes me, like how many people walked past this empty water dish how many times since I got home and saw it. And it's not my wife because she's working. She's literally not away from her desk for hours at a time. But there are other times when those kids are home like, hey, anybody happen to saunter past this dry-ass water bowl and wonder why the dog is following you around? She doesn't want to be pet.
That's right.
She's ready to die from lack of water.
Put some water in the bowl, please.
Yeah. The simplest of things. That's just it. There's a sink 12 feet away. Fill it. No, not unless they're asked. This just won't happen.
Don't wash it. Don't groom it.
Oh, God.
Nothing.
Is there a lot of maintenance with the pugs in terms of the washing? You got to wash that thing?
Well, they get to the point where you get it's a little foul after a while.
They kind of got folds.
Yeah, but yeah, lots of them. Right around the face. They got the flat face. You got to get in there and get those wrinkles. Got some wrinkles.
You got to get those dog wipes.
Got to get. Oh yeah, you do. You really do. But they're easy to wash. They're so small. Just put them in a wash tub. Take care of them.
Just unfriendly.
No, they're friendly. And here's the thing about a pug. You don't need to, like some pugs, I see some people walking their pugs around, but they're lap dogs.
Yeah.
They just like that. They snore. They just like to fall asleep and snore.
Do they sleep with you?
No.
Okay. Because
that's just going too far.
No,
that's going too far.
Well, my lab, again, routine is everything, right? Consistency with the training and the routine. You got to do the same stuff, with every person ever in the house. We don't even do it. She'll sleep with us some nights. She'll sleep in her crate other nights, but she really likes sleeping in her crate. But sometimes it's like, oh, it's late. She's asleep. Let's just, leave her here in bed with us. And the snoring. I'm not used to it. And then the kicking and the dreaming and all that stuff. I'm like, okay, this sucks.
Our dog does sleep with us. And
what kind of dog?
He's a puggle. He's like half pug and half, she's a little bigger than a pug, but he does the thing where he likes to sleep. We call it birding himself. Like he likes to be covered, like his head covered with a blanket, so it's totally dark under there. But he gets hot, so he pops out during the night. So when we first started doing this, he would want to tunnel under the comforter on the bed, and so he'd come up between my wife and I. And he'd kind of wake us up, and we'd have to lift up the blanket, and he would tunnel his way down to the bottom. But like an hour later, he's tunneling his way back out because it's hot down there. And this was like this constant cycle during the night. So he now has his own blanket on the bed on top of the comforter. So when he wants to go under, you can just lift that up, and he'll plop down underneath that.
That would freak me out. Something in the bed.
Yeah, moving around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't need that.
And he does.
No. On top of the bed, like you're under the covers. The dog is on top of the covers. That's fine. But in there with you? No, I'm not doing that.
Well, so that's why he's got his own blanket now. So he doesn't have to get under the comforter with us. He can be kind of on top, but still be covered.
Now you're being reasonable.
Yes.
With your puggle. What'd that thing set you back? That wasn't cheap.
He's not a designer dog. He's from Arkansas.
What a line. He's not a designer dog. He's from Arkansas, in fact.
He's a street puggle.
No, they bring it. They bring him up from the South because people up here will adopt him.
Nothing designer has ever come out of Arkansas, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of those rescue dogs, I don't know. It's sketchy. We've talked about it before. This dog was rescued. Was it? Or was it just like a stray that was probably leading a pretty decent life, eating whatever it wanted out of garbage cans, maybe getting fed by, the local butcher every once in a while, and then you snapped him up old school dog catcher style with a net.
They don't do that
scooped
anymore.
him up and found.
No, they don't do that anymore. Butchers, they say, "Hey, here you go."
You don't think?
Something. No,
it's
a nice
Mayberry sense of the world on there. All right,
he's getting fed by the chef at the Italian restaurant. Just put some spaghetti and meatballs out back. Brings his girlfriend by,
like a Disney movie. Absolutely. All right, I don't want to do too much Celtics. I do want to do a Celtics Bruins comparison though, which we will do before we talk with Cedric Maxwell. He'll join us at 9:00 here on Toucher and Hardy.
Sports Hub headlines.
Red Sox made a couple errors, led to 3 unearned runs. They lose to Cleveland yesterday 5-4, dropped 3 out of 4 in that series. Rafael Devers out yesterday. He's got a bone bruise in his knee. Not sure what that means for his status going forward, but it's probably going to be at least a few days. Tyler O'Neill put on the 7-day IL, dealing with concussion symptoms. The Sox will open up a 3-game series in Pittsburgh tonight. Patriots Director of Scouting Elliott Wolf said yesterday the team is willing to consider a trade out of the number 3 spot in next week's draft if the right deal comes along, but also had some good things to say about the top quarterbacks in the draft. NHL released the schedule for the first round of the playoffs last night. We knew Bruins were going to open their first-round series against Toronto tomorrow night. Game 2 at the Garden is Monday, 7 p.m., Games 3 and 4 are Wednesday and next Saturday in Toronto. NHL owners officially approving the sale of the Coyotes and the move to Salt Lake City. Celtics will find out their first-round playoff opponent tonight. It's either Chicago or Miami as they play in a play-in game for the 8th seed in the East. No Jimmy Butler for the Heat because of a sprained MCL. Out west, New Orleans and Sacramento will play a play-in game. The winner takes on Oklahoma City in the first round. Headlines are driven by the Albrecht Auto Group. Zoe's Auto Dealer. Get respect at Albrecht with 7 locations and thousands of new and pre-owned vehicles. Get the right vehicle at the right price now at albrechtauto.com. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. We got more headlines, 9 o'clock.
Boston's best.
season in order to have the quintessential successful season?
What do they both have to do?
For you.
Yeah. Oh, the Celtics have to win the championship.
They got to win the championship.
Got to win the championship.
That's
Championship
it.
or bust this year.
That's all. It's all it is.
Got to win the NBA Finals.
Denver Nuggets, 7-game series.
Got to win it. Got to win it. You got to win it. You got Game 7 at home. Jokic is a problem. We know.
Oh, you think?
No one can guard him. No one really can guard him.
No.
Just throw a bunch of people at him. Don't foul out too quickly. Porzingis cannot guard him. We know that. It's going to take some Al Horford, maybe some Xavier Tillman to deal with the big body that is Nikola Jokic. But still, you got to win.
Okay, so it's championship or bust for you.
Yes.
I would be content with an NBA Finals appearance, and
For the Celtics?
Yes.
Just an NBA fight, which you've seen before 2 years ago.
Which I saw 2 years ago, and they lost to a better team. And if you end up losing to the Nuggets, I'm not convinced they're the better team, but I do believe they would have the best player on the court.
Yes.
And it's difficult for me to fault an NBA team for losing any game, much less a best of 7, when the other team has the best player on the court night in and night out.
Okay, the best player.
The best player out of
But how about 2 through 9? You know.
We've been watching the NBA all our lives.
You generally want if you
the
had to,
team
if you have to
with
bet
the
on
best
one of the two teams that are playing in a game, you generally will bet on the team with the best player.
And please, Michael,
What?
2 through 9. I'll give you 2 through 6.
No. I'm not saying they have the best players 2 through 9. I'm saying, but if you say if we go beyond Jokic, it's a little bit more. Well, you got Jaylen Brown and you got Jason Tatum. And
I agree. You got Porzingis, yes.
Yeah, Drew Holiday. Derek White. I mean, really. And I respect Jamal Murray, but Porter Jr. good player.
I'll say this:
Caldwell Pope. I mean, come on, they got some guys on that team. We're like, yeah, I can deal with him.
I'll say this:
Aaron Gordon, I can deal with him.
Should the Celtics win it all against Denver, or miraculously, if Denver gets bounced before the finals,
But it wouldn't be miraculous because the West is tough, and that's another reason that that if Denver emerges from the West, Denver is going to be worn out. Like the first round series against the Lakers, which they'll win, but that's not an easy series. They swept them last year, but still not an easy series. But you look at all those teams in the West.
Wasn't an easy sweep though.
Like,
It really didn't work for that.
The 10 seed in the Western Conference eliminated from the playoffs the Golden State Warriors. That was your 10 seed.
Yeah.
Now look at the East. Compare that with the East, where you have these bums playing tonight. We have the Chicago Bulls, who are going to advance, and they're not very good. Every team out west that made the playoffs is a good team.
Mm-hmm.
Sacramento was your 9 seed.
That's crazy.
So top of the conference, you got OKC, you got Denver, you got Minnesota. Those are all great teams. So if Denver comes out of the West, whoever comes out of the West should be ready for the Celtics to, without home court advantage.
Yep.
The Celtics really should have an advantage.
Okay, I like that, and I do like that assessment that whoever comes out of the West is going to have been through the gauntlet. Okay, so that will help. I do think, though, that the Celtics, should they win that series against Denver, or really OKC for that matter, it will end up being celebrated as a real team victory, because you're not going to beat, I don't think, any of the best 2-3 teams in the West by having outstanding game 1 from Jason Tatum. Games 2 and 3, it's Jaylen Brown, then Tatum, then Porzingis steals you one. I think it's going to require the team effort, not all the way through 9, but through 6, maybe 7. And, of course, injuries are the wild card and all that, depending if you need more bench minutes than in other games. All right. So for you, it's championship or bust. I'm not going to move the goalposts now. I'll still say finals. What about for the Bruins? What will it take for the Bruins in the postseason to be able to be done and say, yeah, they did what they needed to do in order to have a successful season?
Okay, this is unfair.
Sure.
But I'll go there. Stanley Cup final.
Wow.
Appearance.
What?
Stanley Cup final appearance.
What?
So they have to win the East.
Okay, but this is why. This is why. It's hard for me to move on from things. It's hard for me to move on from pain. So, are you over last year? Are you over it? They had this historic regular season. And there's so much, this is different. I felt like that during the season. Oh, this is different.
I said they were winning the cup in February.
And then Jim Montgomery, this is a right guy. Hey, nothing against Cassidy, but Montgomery's the right guy for this team.
Brilliant
Players,
move.
coach, all that. And they lose in the first round?
Okay.
They lose in the first round. So getting out of the first round doesn't make up for last year because you're playing Toronto, and that's expected. So you're expected to win in the first round. 6 games, 7 games, doesn't matter. You're expected to beat Toronto. That would really suck if you lose to Toronto.
Oh,
it really would.
Okay, so that would be borderline disastrous. But this is all predicated on, you're talking about last year. This is a much different team.
I know, but still with the
personnel
way up there. Well, much different. You don't have Bergeron.
You don't have your top two centers.
You don't have Krejci.
Okay. Yeah,
and missing the top two centermen
Krejci was starting to. He was listing a little bit at the end of last year.
I do believe that the team has a fundamental flaw in the way they're built from the goaltender position, and this is something I've been arguing.
You don't like 2 goaltenders
all year. The Swaymark, no, I do not like the idea of your identity being built on a guy who is not going to be playing in every game. Whether it's Swayman or Allmark, I think that's a foolish identity to have for a hockey team. That's what they've done. That's where they are, and that's what got them through the regular season. So can't have it both ways. Fine. Maybe they don't make the postseason without that fantastic rotation. And it's not that I dislike either guy. I just think there had to have been a way to not be just riding with this ridiculous luxury of 2 playoff caliber starting goaltenders all season long for a second year and then riding that into the playoffs, because now I don't believe it does you any good. If you are able to identify to a man who the best guy is out of these 2, then that's your goaltender for the playoffs, and that resource of the other guy could have been used elsewhere.
Well, you tell me,
going back to months or even a year ago.
You tell me, RJ. I mean, think about this. You still have, you can go back and forth with the goaltenders. You still have a brilliant scorer in Pastrnak. Other aspects of his game, maybe you can nitpick. A brilliant scorer in Pastrnak. You got a guy, your captain, who is one of the best scorers in Bruins history.
And Michael has really asserted himself as being a great team captain.
I do too. I think he's been a great captain. And even a guy like Charlie Coyle, who I always say, I love Charlie Coyle. Always around, has played almost 900 games in his career.
Okay, so they got all this
stuff.
Very
good. Okay, so RJ, tell me why a Stanley Cup final is crazy.
It's not crazy, but I think that wouldn't be where I would gauge success. I think if they make the Eastern Conference final and give, say, the Rangers or Carolina a good run but lose that series, I still think it's been a successful season that has far surpassed whatever expectations we had at the beginning of the year.
And that's it. You can move the goalposts. You can absolutely move the goalposts, but I'm not going to move them so much because at the beginning of the year, you don't have anywhere near what you had for your centers on the top 2 lines. You're still doing this goalie rotation. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. I'm sure I said it.
Wait a minute.
This is a team, Hardy, that I think is better than their parts would indicate. The sum of their parts is, the record is off the charts compared to the talent level on the team, really, when you look at individuals in comparison to some of the other teams that are out there.
And the way they started helped that record.
Well, that's the thing. So I was just doing the math on that. Bruins started 13-1-2 this season. They finished with a record of 34-19-13. That means they lost 32 and won 34 in their last 66 games this year. They're a just better than 500 team.
You take away that super hot start,
and you take, and you kind of factor in the loser points for overtime and shootout and all that.
Yeah,
they were basically a 500 team from Thanksgiving on.
But
Stanley Cup final.
Hardy talks about this rotation, this goalie rotation. But if one of those guys won the Vezina last year, I mean, like if you're going to give me a rotation, you got one guy, Vezina Trophy winner last year, and the other one is a really good young goaltender in the NHL. I like my chances there.
Okay. We're gonna switch gears back to the Celtics here with Cedric Maxwell. 9:00 here on Toucher and Hardy, which is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel.
Celtics heroes. They're raising $200,000 to cover cancer screens for Mass and New Hampshire firefighters and heart screens for Mass and New Hampshire police officers. Get details at servicecu.org/73. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. We got more headlines in 30 minutes.
Tatum has been spectacular.
This is Jason Tatum.
Right corner against Embiid. Tatum for a 50-piece.
You're listening to the home of Boston Celtics basketball, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Dutcher and Hardy, the reviews are in.
I got to stay on talk about you. Give me about 5 minutes of my time.
Hear what he said. Now more of on the Sports Hub.
Pritchard inbounds to Mihalik. The final seconds tick off the clock. And the most dominant season in the history of the game's most storied franchise comes to an end. The Boston Celtics cross the finish line with 64 wins and a regular season for a lifetime. The final score on the final day, Boston 132, Washington 122.
It was the Celtics color analyst on 98.5 The Sports Hub Celtics Radio Network. Max is brought to you by Amica Insurance. Empathy is their best policy. Visit amica.com today to get started. Max joins us now on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. Good morning, Max.
Good morning, gentlemen. I am so happy to be with you and to our sponsor, Amica, for stepping out and bringing on a guy who was a bus driver, not a bus rider.
You're driving the bus. Okay. Does Grandy know that you're driving the bus? You're going to.
Well, that bus, Grandy's always driving that bus. I'm talking about officially knowing about what happens on the basketball court. I can tell you that.
Okay. All right, good. So what do you make of what's been happening here in these play-in games as we're still waiting to see who the Celtics end up taking on? I assume you've been watching and have some thoughts so far.
You know what? If you're still afraid of Miami right now, you don't even need to be playing basketball. Can Miami win down in Miami against Chicago? I think they can because they're a smart team, and Chicago has played down to the level of the competition. Zach LaVine, this thing has bothered them in Chicago. One of their best players wanted to be traded. They never made a move away from him. But they have some very talented guys, but it always seems like the Celtics have had their number. If Miami is able to do what they do and be a smarter, headier team down in Miami without Jimmy Butler, but him not playing against the Celtics in the first round, your opportunity now is even more wide open.
What's up, Max?
What's up, big fella?
What's going on? Hey, I'm surprised you didn't have I was waiting for you to say, after Hardy introduced you as the Celtics color analyst, I was waiting for you to say your line. You didn't do it. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, I was disappointed too.
Well, since they now have a colored guy on as analyst and a colored guy in studio.
Did you say colored?
Of course he did.
You said colored.
That ED carries a lot of weight in that sentence there.
Colored guy. We're going back in the 50s and the 60s all of a sudden. Because that was actually on my birth certificate when I was born.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was colored down south. It was colored. It wasn't black. It wasn't Negro. It was colored. So, I say that only in honor of all the people who have gone before me to have things done the way they have. And for me and you to be on these shows right now,
that's right.
Really show a step forward.
Yeah, no question. You're talking about the play-in game and the Heat, the compromised Miami Heat. From the Celtics' perspective, we know last year they took on the Hawks. Hawks were not very good, and that series went 6 games. Mm-hmm. Do you think is there an opponent that the Celtics can look at between these two, whether it's Miami without Jimmy Butler or the Bulls, they can look at and say, I know we're better than this team, but there's an opponent that will make them focus more than they did last year in the first round?
You know what? If you are who everybody thinks you are and the record you put up so far, I'd say no. They've been playing that well. Now, the last couple of weeks, once they wrapped everything up, they took their foot off the gas. Some of those games, I don't think they really challenged themselves. But that's going to be their big test, to step up and put everybody else on notice. For in the middle of the year and early in the year, and even the 3 quarters of the year, everybody said the Celtics were the team to beat. But in the last month, there have been question marks about, if the Celtics can win it. They have a whole supply of great players. They're healthy right now. Joe Mazzulla has done a magnificent job of resting guys. Al Horford, Porzingis should come in fresh. You get a week off. Celtics have no excuse but to come in, I think, and actually steamroll whoever they play, especially in the first round.
From the bigger picture, Max, we were just talking about it with Michael. Is it championship or bust for this team? Is that what it takes to consider this a successful season? Is that fair? Despite the team having the best record in the league, should we look at it and say, if they don't win a championship, this is a failure?
You know what? Sean Grande my broadcast partner, makes a great point of saying, people should stay in the moment and celebrate just how great of a season this team had offensively. He continues to say, statistically, one of the greatest offensive teams in the history of the NBA. And he's right. But what does that give you in Boston? When the Patriots were, 17-0? And when they had that other game, and they were the greatest team ever, nobody talked about them anymore being the greatest team ever. So you can throw those stats out the window. I think only here in Boston, people accept championships. They don't. That regular season means nothing. Look at the Bruins last year. Bruins were unbelievable, had one of the best records in the history of the NHL. And turned around and fell flat on their face. Nobody really cared or gave. So I think, again, like you're saying right now, I believe it's more championship than bust.
All right, so let's talk about the other side of the coin here, Max, because a first-round playoff exit for the Celtics right now is pretty much unthinkable. I mean, I can't even wrap my head around how it would happen or in what fashion, but short of the NBA Finals and whether you want to put them winning it or just being there, let's say something happens. It's a second-round exit. It's an Eastern Conference Finals exit, and it's not due to injury. What would you say, if you had to predict right now, is the reason for it, and what would the immediate fallout be?
The reason that they will not win a championship this year,
or be
bunched,
yes,
or be bounced.
Yes,
maybe I would think rebounding. Teams have killed them with second chance opportunities in this last month and a half. Josh Hart had 16 rebounds, and at one point Jaylen Brown had 0. Jaylen Brown is a great player. He's going to have to pick it up, rebound the basketball. They have to be more physical when it comes to that side. Everything else, they've been brilliant. But that side of the coin, defensive rebounds, they're going to have to pick up. And if they don't pick it up, they could be in some trouble against a Joel Embiid or New York, which killed them with second chance opportunities. Cleveland is a very long, athletic team. They get second chance. So the defensive rebounds are going to be the key to me. That's what's going to make the difference in them being in the finals or getting bounced out early.
Of those teams you just mentioned, those Eastern Conference teams, which one is the biggest threat to the Celtics?
I think the Knicks right now because they've just been playing really well. Jaden Brunson has been really good. He's played at the all-star level. He's picked that team up. Anunoby comes in as a really good defender. They don't have Julius Randle, but they rebound and they're tough. And that would be the team that would strike a little fear in my heart if I was the Celtics. But the Knicks have to get by Philadelphia. And Philadelphia is not going to be a joke. I think that matchup is going to be a really good one for Philly because Joel Embiid is starting to round into shape. And Maxi's been playing well. I think the physicality of Philadelphia really could surprise the New York Knicks.
Before you came on, Max was talking with Hardy and RJ about the Nuggets and the matchup there. And it just reminded me of Denver and taking a trip with you to Denver, the airport. I don't know if you remember the situation.
I do remember that, sir. And make sure you put it in the proper way. Sometimes when we say we're traveling together, people get a little funny around here.
What happened?
No, we were just.
Well, I had a guy one time. He had gone to some place and a couple of years. It was some years ago back during the Celtics run with Paul Pierce. and he went to a bar and he saw this lady in Celtic paraphernalia, and he said, "Yeah, are you a Celtic fan?" She said, "Yes." He said, "Well, one of my best friends is Cedric Maxwell." He said, "Oh, I used to like him. I don't like him anymore." And it's like, "What? Why don't you like him?" And no offense to anybody, but the woman says, "Because he's gay." And my buddy said, "Gay? He's not gay." And she said, "No, I saw him on Phantom Gourmet." He said him and his partner went and ate out and had dinner. So that made Sean Grandy officially my lover. I was like, "Oh God," I almost threw up on that.
Are you saying even if you were gay, Max, the last person you would be with as a life partner is Sean
Grandy?
That would be that. That is damn correct, though. That's why you guys are getting the big money.
No, this is a work trip. This is a work trip we were on in Denver. We were at the airport, and there was a woman there who did not think that Cedric Maxwell was gay at all. As a matter of fact, she was very interested in Mr. Maxwell. And hey, Max, can I say this? A very good-looking colored woman.
Yes, colored. Color, we'll say that.
Okay. No, but she was very attractive.
Can I say that?
Hey,
No, I don't believe
Hardy. Hey, Max. Hey, Hardy, give it a try.
They will be pulling the plug on your ass. So Mary will be running down there for the front. What did he say?
Yeah, that new morning contract didn't worth a dime.
So she's talking to Maxwell. Max is talking to her. This is years ago. I don't know what kind of relationship you're in now, Maxwell. You know, it's a long time ago. So she said, "Oh, so what do you do?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm the analyst, radio analyst for the Celtics, and yeah, I like it." And Max said to her, "So what do you do for a living?" And she said, "I am currently unemployed." And Max said, well, "Okay, nice talking to you." Okay, we'll see you later.
Yeah.
Well, you identify, and then you say, then what you do, you get the information, and then you digest that information, and then you regurgitate, like, she ain't got no damn job. That's the last person I wanted to be. Now I'm good.
She was very interested in the work you had to do.
That was a very accurate story. And Holly laughed his ass off when I just kind of, "Oh, you ain't got no job? Hey, girl, I'll holler back at you."
It just drifted off. It was a great conversation, and then it ended abruptly.
Yeah, very, very subtle. All right, so Sunday, getting ready, all set to go. And then watching and waiting for what else is developing. In terms, if you wanted to look that far ahead, who would you want the Celtics to end up ultimately playing in the finals coming out of the West?
You know what? I think it will probably be Denver. I think because Denver has not seen the Celtics A game yet. Denver beat the Celtics this time this year.
Yep.
They beat them, I think it was 100-102. The Celtics have not played a good game against Denver yet. I think if the Celtics play their A game, there's not a team, I think, in the NBA right now that's going to beat the Celtics if they're on their A game. And that means rebounding, defending, but the opportunities to score the basketball is crazy. Jason Tatum obviously is going to be a key. And I did talk to Joe Mazzulla about this, and we were having to be, in the arena early, and he said, I got to get that pressure off of Tatum. I said, Joe, you can't do that. And he asked me why. And I said, because of social media and all these other outlets. The pressure is not going to be eliminated off of Jason Tatum until he wins the championship here. Everybody, he's defined by that. LeBron has talked about it. Everybody else has talked about it. So it's a real thing. So hopefully he's able to transition and get above that. I get a chance this week to get a little promo. I might see my guy, Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, and Robert Parrish at Dick's Sporting Goods. Excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
It's having their grand opening on Saturday, and I think the four of us will be there. So get a chance to reminisce and talk even more about what this current Celtic team can do.
Dick's House of Sports. Cool. Yeah, the one downtown. Last question, Max, real quick. If the Celtics are out before the finals at any point during the playoffs, is Joe Mazzulla in trouble at all with his job?
I don't think so. And I think Brad would give him a long look, because I think Brad believes in him and the team believes in him. And it would probably be an extraordinary circumstance that you would say that Joe Mazzulla, who's done a magnificent job in winning games, you'd move beyond him. And then you say move beyond him to go where, to do what. So I don't think that would be the case at all. I think Joe Mazzulla is the coach here next year, and when he wins it this year, and Joe Mazzulla said one other thing, and I'll share it with you. Joe Mazzulla looked up at that, because we were happened to be in the garden, and the workers were just putting stuff down on the floor. And he asked me, he said, so you were the finals MVP in 1981, and that banner, I see it up there. And I said, yes. He said, almost had tears in his eyes. He said, I'd do anything to bring a banner to this city and to this organization. So that's why I am so, in love with the fact that who he is and what he can do. I mean, is he a darling right now? Is he a Frank Kona with the media? No. There's not a lot of him. He's more of a Belichick. If I win, then I'm going to stick it in your face, and I happen to love that.
All right, Cedric Maxwell, appreciate it, and we'll hopefully be talking to you here again soon and throughout the playoffs. But
look, man, Arbella is paid for this. I will be back next week, okay?
Amica.
And we love our sponsor.
Amica,
come on now.
Oh, Amica. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
And you know what?
Man.
I'm sure
already screwing up.
No, I'm sure they don't have a problem with it, because as we know with Amica Insurance, empathy is their best policy.
Wow. Look, that's a radio professional.
That's a double
right there,
save
Max.
right there.
That was a good catch. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
All right, thanks, Max. Appreciate it.
Max.
All right, very good. Yes, Cedric Maxwell has been brought to you by Amica Insurance. Boston Celtics playoff coverage is presented by Amica Insurance. As the Celtics chase banner 18, visit amica.com today to learn more about Amica's award-winning customer service. All right, the award-winning email segment is next with Michael Holley here with us, along with Brian Johnston on Toucher and Hardy here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Stay tuned for more.
All right, so it is time for the email bit. I don't know if we want to, start it as we normally started here, but thank you.
I got an idea for a bit. The email bit. We should do the email bit. It's a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
Ryan Johnston, who does have an email address, but no one's going to remember it. Whatever it is,
Ryan.Johnston@bbgi.com.
Right. Now, we did give out Dan O'Brien's email yesterday.
And I got one email.
What was your email? Was it one that you wanted to read? I can't remember. You told me what it was this morning.
I showed it to you. Yeah, you read it, but then you just dismissed it. Would I like to read it? Yeah, I mean, it was more or less along the lines of some of the technology and communication. There are people that listen on the Alexa or some of those wireless things. But as I'm finding out, because I did a little bit more digging into it, it seems as though when you connect to it, there's what they call pre-roll. It'll have a little bit of a recording ahead of time.
That's right.
The recording on some of them is old. That does not appear to be on our end. It appears to be on the person who has not either updated their Alexa or their Echo or one of those types of smart speakers yet. But the recording is of a former employee who used to work on this show.
Maybe sat in this very chair now.
Yeah.
And welcomes everyone to the Sports Hub.
I've seen a handful of complaints about this online over the past 5 months.
I don't even know if I don't think it's a complaint as much as it is. Hey, just if you guys are interested at all in
literally the email starts just as a heads up.
Yeah.
That's what it says.
Right.
Love you, mean it, all that, but it says just as a heads up, the Alexa, Echo, all that stuff.
So this is interesting. We were all, I'm sure, very much into our Alexas, smart speakers, whatever, when they first came out. Look at all this cool stuff that you can do. And then the pain in the ass factor started settling in. Oh, wait a second. I have to enable skills in order for it to do this. You have to update like the OS of the Alexa every once in a while. You know what? I'm good.
That's how they keep you. That's how they keep you on the hook.
Do you do all that stuff? Do you stay engaged with it? And
no.
What about when's the last time you opened the Alexa app on your phone to update a skill or to change something on your Alexa settings? Do you have the Alexa app on your phone?
On my phone? No.
Okay, well, that's how you're supposed to control the smart speakers in your home is through the Alexa app.
But so we have one of those. We have a smart speaker. It's a Google Home device or whatever it is, and it literally never gets used. The only time we hear from it is we'll be watching TV, and all of a sudden from the kitchen you hear, plug into your Google Home device, and it's like,
what is that?
What happened?
Right.
Like nobody asked you a question.
Now, it is ironic though, because that voice that you hear at the beginning of if you're streaming the Sports Hub, that same person I believe was afraid of the Alexa listening.
The whole Black Mirror thing.
Yeah, listening to you and spying on you, which it is the furthest thing from my mind, and that goes across all devices. Oh, your phone is listening to you.
You don't care?
No, make my life easier. If my phone is spying on me when I'm looking for a place to get breaks done, and then look at this,
recommending break shops.
It just gave me a place where it's 25% off for break. Good. Thank you. I'm not up to anything that you can't listen in on all day long. It's fine.
Well, see, that's the problem. See, you have a nice life. You have a nice.
It's not that nice. I don't care about getting caught. I really don't.
But if you're into some other stuff, you don't necessarily want to be recorded, spied on, and have these recommendations for things.
So you're saying like high level mafioso and meth dealers, they're the only ones that are it's this like culture of paranoia. Oh, I can't be listened to. I don't want to be spied on. Why not? Because you're so interesting? Because you've got something going on that
you might have something going on
that Amazon or the government wants to listen in on? What are you up to? What's your high level conversation that you're having at your dinner table?
It's a secret. Don't you get it?
No, I don't.
For those government agents who happen to be listening, Hardy has no problem with you going through a search history or anything like that. Go ahead. He's an open book.
He wants it.
What are you up to?
He wants the attention.
Now, having said that, if I were ever asked to turn over my phone throughout the course of an investigation, hell no.
You would destroy it like Brady?
I might. Because that seems like the thing to do. I don't have a good reason why, but I've heard from enough people, and even we're not mentioning Canton, Dan.
You've heard from enough people in your town about destroying cell phones?
Haven't talked about it yet. Not talking about it now. Well, not. Maybe I'll talk about it once the Dateline version gets aired. Maybe then I'll be willing to talk about it.
That's intriguing.
But I have friends on both sides of, let's say, law enforcement who say, oh, without question, don't ever turn over your phone.
No, why should you, why did he, for one, he shouldn't have given up his phone. Right?
Yes.
But why did he so-called destroy it? We know he didn't destroy it because we've all read the emails and we've read some of the text.
Right.
So you're not really destroying. But why would you do that?
The destroying of the phone does make you look guilty of something.
But even if you're not...
But he destroys phones all the time. I change my phone like every 6 weeks. I destroy the old one because, there's sensitive stuff on there.
Do what everybody else does. Just have that, disable that thing, put it in a drawer somewhere. You never have to worry about it again.
I know. How many old phones do you have stashed in a drawer somewhere?
Like, I still have this thing.
No, you got to take those things out into a burn barrel, which he kept on his property there on the country club, and you got to burn that thing and you collect the ashes and you go bury it in a playground.
Have a ceremony for your cremated phone.
Yes,
you bury it like the game film from a bad game. Just dig a hole and drop it in there.
See you later.
It's symbolic.
Yep.
Email from Dave. What an amazing segment. I don't know how it happens, but somehow, some way, I need more of the Hardy, Holly, Max triumvirate. 3 of the greats at their peak. Maybe a podcast. I don't know. I'm still workshopping it. You guys can talk about anything and I'll listen. I think that would just be an exercise in how long it takes me to lose every one of my jobs.
No,
because
we'd protect you.
We
got you. Don't you worry.
You know what, Michael? I feel like you would. I feel like on the list of Max's priorities, protecting the guy that he once referred to not long ago as the guy in the hat. When he was joining us on a Zolak and Bertrand segment. Yeah, Zoe, I don't know what you were talking about, but you and the guy in the hat said something I didn't like.
He said it lovingly, though.
I know, but like Max, it's Hardy. We've actually worked together a few times. He made me sound like Curious George's handler. Yeah, just the guy in the yellow hat.
In the yellow hat.
Yeah, it's fine. That's fine.
I'm glad you remember those stories. See, and how old is your youngest?
13.
And you still remember the man in the yellow hat.
Do you know what was really fun? It wasn't my idea. My daughter went up into the attic and came down with a bunch of her books that she remembered. We gave away most of the kids' books by now, to other friends with younger kids, and here's some good books. But we kept all of her favorites and all of my son's favorites.
Green Eggs and Ham?
No.
The Snowy Day?
No.
No? What?
No.
Snowy Day? I don't even know what that is.
Oh,
the Very Cranky Bear. That was a big one. Pigeon Finds a Hot Dog. Any of the Mo Willems stuff. Knuffle Bunny. That was a big one. And Katie Duck. Her name was Katie. That was another one of her favorite books. She came down and we reread them. And my wife and I could recite most of them without even looking at the pages because we read them so many
How many times did you in there reading the books at night and then you find that you're going to sleep?
Oh, yeah.
It's like at that right time they're asking, read another one. I'm like, okay.
Yes.
Maybe I got about 7 pages in me before I'm sleeping before you go to sleep.
But that was fun. She brought them all down, spread them all on the kitchen counter, and
that's a good idea.
All right, now put that crap back in the attic. I'm not putting it away. You put it back. Put it away. Put it away. We have the stack to get to with all the things we have not yet got. Believe it or not, Michael, there are things we didn't get to on the show today.
Well, how about the no more games, RJ? I mean, the RJ game was maybe the greatest segment in radio history.
We could just redo the game again. I don't know. We'll figure it out though when we do the stack next.
There are more. If we want to do some quick research, there's plenty more testicular injuries in Major League Baseball history.
Maybe we'll just replay the.
By the way, don't play for the Seattle Mariners because a lot of them seem to happen to the Mariners.
Really?
Yeah. It's like an inordinate number. There's something going on out in Seattle.
Yeah, that 1980 one was a Mariner one. And then the Cleveland, the reconstructive, that was a Mariners.
Right?
Yeah, it was against the Mariners, right? Huh. Yeah. Okay.
Reconstructive. Hardy, I just want you to just think about that going into your weekend.
Emergency reconstructive surgery.
Going into your weekend.
The swelling.
Still made the play.
Swelling that required hospitalization and the reconstructive surgery. Those are the two that are
Do you give a press conference after and you thank all the doctors for like they're doing God's work here? I just really want to thank them. I didn't think I'd be the same, but they really have put me all back together again.
I mean, if you guys could have seen my beanbag 2 days ago, you wouldn't believe I were standing here, not ready to sit, but standing here now talking to you. All right, the Stack is next on Toucher and Hardy.
Sports Hub headlines.
Red Sox lose 5-4 to
Time for the stack, which will actually begin with a couple of emails I didn't get to.
An extended to email bit?
Mostly because they're complimentary, and I wanted to pass along the compliments. Hardy, fabulous spot this morning with Michael Hawley in the Ball Buster trivia quiz. As I listened, I found myself wincing with empathy and laughing uncontrollably at both the commentary and the music, which came courtesy of Mike Lockhart, intelligently produced. Every man can appreciate this. Well done. And I do believe like the coup de grace came with the bit.
That's good.
So
the whole thing.
Yeah,
Good job,
congratulations.
Lockhart.
Also, this is a compliment for Michael. Talking about Ryan Johnston's story about his dog trying to burrow itself under the covers, constantly have to coax them back out. I just want to say that Holly had the best line of the month when he said, "Nothing designer ever came out of Arkansas." Because Ryan Johnston claims to have a
Puggle.
I have a Puggle. Which is sometimes a designer dog, but mine is not.
A rescue Puggle. I said, you have a designer rescue, and it came from Arkansas, and Michael said no.
But RJ did
What about designer meth? You know, you have designer drugs. Maybe out of Arkansas?
Maybe. You might have something. But
Okay.
RJ showed me a picture of the dog. It's a beautiful dog. Finn? Is that
Finn?
the dog?
Yes.
Finn. Nice.
Is it short for Phineas?
No, just Finn.
You haven't given the dog the full name?
Oh, he's got lots of names, like a very,
Look at that
very
dog.
long name.
Look at that.
Look
at that beauty.
Phineas T. Johnston or anything like that?
No, I mean he's got there's a whole list of names that my wife calls him.
Okay,
like we named him after a wrestler because he kind of had the same coloring. There's a wrestler named Finn Balor. He's a WWE guy who sometimes like paints himself up into this like demon thing, and he's got like a black face but his white body, and that's kind of what he looked like as a puppy. So that was part of the reason he wound up with that name. So
The wrestler or the dog?
Both.
Okay. I got
Both.
you. All right.
One story we did not give enough attention to this morning. We may have only talked about it off the air a little bit, and here and there throughout the week. But the Arizona Coyotes moving to Utah.
Ugh.
This is delightful.
I didn't realize until this morning that they're not going to be utilizing the full-size arena as of yet.
Okay, so what? You tell me what you've learned, and then I'll sprinkle in what I wanted to get to from this story.
So they approved the sale of the Coyotes to the owner of the Utah Jazz yesterday. They will be moving immediately to Salt Lake City, and they will not have a name or logo likely before opening day. So they will put Utah on the front of their jerseys and name and logo to be continued.
Come on.
But they announced that they got, in the first day, 11,000 season ticket deposits, which is great, obviously. They're only going to have 12,000 seats in the Delta Center in a temporary hockey setup. Over the next few years, they are going to be doing renovations, and eventually it will be a 17,000-seat crowd during hockey. But for the next few years, they're only going to have 12,000 seats in that building. So they've almost sold the place out on season tickets. I guess that's the good news. But they're playing in basically 2/3 of a barn for the first few years.
Still, but
it's better than the 5,000-seat Mullen Arena.
Contrast that with what they have
down in Tempe, but
right now.
To those guys, it's going to feel like they're playing in the Cowboys Stadium,
right?
Yeah. Oh my God, there's so many people here. 12,000. So what will be on the front of the jerseys? Utah. What else? They don't know yet. It's Ryan Smith, whom I saw giving some media yesterday and talking. Interesting guy. It'll be 100% will be Utah, and it will be Utah something. Obviously, I don't think, given this timeline, that we're going to have time, or nor should we rush with everything else that's going on to go force what that is in the next 3 months.
The Utah hockey team.
Yes, I mean
Utah.
Now, the
Utah Hockey Club.
I would have had no problem with Washington sticking with Washington football team. I think that would have been.
It was starting to grow on me a little bit. It was
Washington.
Yeah,
That's what it. Who Washington? This is Washington football.
Yeah,
that's it. You just go with that in D.C. I would have been fine with that. But you got 3 months? You can't come up with something?
No, that's too quick. That's too quick because you got to come up with
You got to have
the
designers
right logo.
for the
That's right.
logo. You got to figure out colors. You got to figure out, what the design of the uniforms is going to look like. You got to work with Nike and all that. Like,
You got to
there's-
sell it.
There's
too.
a lot of
You gotta sell
lot
some
to
stuff,
be
too.
put into
Because
that.
It's money to be made.
And as the
here.
owner said, you only get one shot at this. Like, you don't want to have to be changing it down the road.
I didn't know they were called Utahns. Is that what the people from Utah are? Utahns?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Utahns.
Okay. Not Utes. That's a tribe.
Not Utes.
No, the two Utes. No,
Utes. Did you say Utes?
Utah, UTAHN is the Utah is the
Utah.
name for a person from Utah.
How about that for a hockey team?
What is the only
The Utah Utahns?
The Utahns.
What is the only state that does not refer to its inhabitants by using some form of the state's name?
That would be here.
Thank you. Give Michael a chance to think about it.
Oh, but come on. That's obvious. Come on.
Did you have the
easy.
answer?
Yeah, I was going to say that.
What are you?
Well, I didn't grow up here.
But you're here now.
So,
You've been here a long time.
We do have an official. We have an official name,
If I were still in Michigan, I would be a Michigander.
which is also weird.
Okay.
Right,
But I'm in
Michigander.
Massachusetts, so I am a
Masshole. What?
See, I knew
that
you
is
didn't know
true.
the answer. Dan, you know. Dan O'Brien knows.
I will. Can I?
I do not know.
You don't know what you are?
In the Commonwealth of Massachusetts?
Yes, as a resident of Massachusetts.
I'm a resident of
I
Massachusetts.
honestly do. Well, first of all, I don't live here, but yes. Second of all, I don't know.
Ryan?
Oftentimes on the news, you are referred to as a Bay Stater.
You are a Bay Stater officially.
No, but that's no.
No, in the official designations of state inhabitants' names, there are Floridians, there are Texans,
and Bay Stater.
Georgians, right? North Carolinians. Every other state uses some form of the state's name.
So we don't have it then.
We
we don't have it.
Bay Staters.
No, we
Arkansans, right? In Arkansas?
Kansans.
If you can't connect the name to it, then you just we'll sit this one out. It's fine. We'll sit this one out.
No,
we'll let you be a Michigander. We'll let them be Utahns.
And you are a Bay Stater.
And I'm a resident of Massachusetts. A proud resident of Massachusetts.
If you were among the 8 million people who lost power during the biggest storm to ever blow through the Commonwealth, you would be one of 8 million Bay Staters without power.
Which some people refer to as the Bay State.
You know what? You're right. Your idea is pithier and better.
Yeah. That's what you're saying. I'm a resident of Massachusetts, which some people often refer to as the Bay State.
Okay, hold on. We have a phone call we need to get to here. Joel in Indy. Yes, Joel?
Yeah, people from Indiana are called Hoosiers. They're not called Indianans.
That's right. That's right. The Hoosier State. Of course. Thank you, Joel.
Hold on.
That's it.
All right, thank you.
That's right.
According to this list I'm looking at, you can also be called an Indianan or
Thank
an
you.
Indianian.
Thank you.
Indianian?
Indianian.
Oh, it's just trying too hard. Sometimes it just doesn't work. That's what the Utah people are saying.
Yes.
Sometimes it doesn't work. You don't force it.
I mean, New
Take your
Jersey,
time.
New Jerseyite is a pretty bad one.
That's a bad one too.
I'm not saying they're great, but that if you're from Oregon, you're an Oregonian.
Oregonian.
Right.
I like that. That's got a
People
ring to
from
it.
Vermont, they're
Vermonter.
Vermonters.
That's nice too.
Maine is a Mainer.
Massachusetts, you're a Bay Stater. Look at the list if you don't believe me. There's a list, and it's online, so it's 100%
real.
true.
It's real.
And
We got to
accurate.
follow it.
Hold on.
Connecticut people being referred to as nutmeggers is an interesting.
See, it comes back to the game.
Yep.
It comes right back there.
We're not doing it again.
It was so good. Come
No,
on.
it's true. No, we're not doing. We're not doing any of
Thank
those.
you.
What could you be in Utah? Utah Saints. Anyone remember the Utah Saints song from the 90s? Am I alone on that one?
Don't remember that one.
Okay. How about the Utah polygamists? How about the Utah sister wives? Something just Mormon related. No?
Doesn't have a ring though.
The Utah Magic Underwears. No?
No.
Okay.
Not working.
Leo, you have a name for the Utah team?
I actually just have a couple of them. So it's Leo in the car. So something real simple. The Utah Moabs, after just the city in Utah and a bunch of people go four-wheeling and dirt riding out there.
Sure.
Second one, definitely Mormon-related. I don't know if I can say it on the air, but it has something to do with moisture.
The Utah Soakers.
Yes, I think that is where he was headed.
Wow.
And if you don't know what that means, Google is your friend.
Google.
Did you watch The Jury, or what is it called? It was the series where they impaneled a jury, and it was all fake.
Oh yeah.
The entire trial is fake except for one, and everybody is in on it except for one guy in the jury, and they just do all this weird stuff throughout the trial. The only thing they told him was, we're actually documenting everything for this, for a special about jury selection and how a trial goes. And so he was not put off by cameras being around all the time, but the entire trial was fake.
It was all fake.
It was all fake. And at one point, one of the other sequestered jury members, who was of a certain faith, probably, and wanted to engage in relations with another jury member, but they did that activity.
Okay.
Oh, are we done? No!
Whether you want to be or not.
Michael Holley, always a pleasure.
Oh, thank you, Hardy. RJ, this is a great time, man. This is a good start to the weekend.
Yeah, why not? Always good having RJ here all week, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Good.
Last I've been here 6 straight shows.
I need the analytics for the year. I need 2024. Are you tracking ahead of 23 on the same pace?
No, I've got to be behind.
You're behind?
I'm behind the pace.
All right.
Nobody's taken like 6 weeks off in a row this year. So
be patient.
Yeah.
Fred and Wallach
As
both
Dan
back.
O'Brien says, stay ready.
Both back on Monday. Zoe and Beetle are up next.
More Toucher and Hardy on the way on the Sports Hub.
Spring into savings at Bernardi Honda with